Welcome, everyone, to another edition of My Cousin's Basement podcast. I am one of your hosts, Tim Bradley. Boo, I did that wrong. It's Tim Patrick. And, of course, always with me is my hetero life mate, my cousin, my family, my brother, my whatever you want to call him, Rando.
What's up, Tim?
Not much, sir. Same shit, different pals.
That's right. It's been a long time since we've been on the podcast. If
Right.
anybody who actually listens to us actually cares, but today is episode number 11.
11. Too bad it's not 13. That would have been perfect.
Well, maybe we can have 13 by Halloween.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
maybe
a year.
we'll say that. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. I really like that. Maybe we can do 13 on Friday the 13th since it does.
Ooh, that's right.
There's a Friday the 13th on
forgot.
Halloween, right?
Again. Wasn't it like last year before, too?
I think so. I can't
Yeah.
remember, but I remember maybe it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't remember it being on last year. Maybe it was.
Because I remember it was a full moon, the 31st and the 13th. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, fuck yeah.
I know that we had that super moon. We won't have another one until like 2037 or something, which is crazy. Did you guys sign and see that?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
It was a bit, like, we call it cloudy for us, but we still saw it.
Mhm. Yeah, we're driving on the highway and we're like, man, is it the moon? Like, we didn't even know the super moon was happening. And like, we're going back home from my sister-in-law's, and we're like, this thing's awesome. I almost pulled over just to take a picture, but my wife got a couple good pictures of it. So,
That's good.
and I was driving to get my Snapchat going. But yeah, so today for this podcast episode, we're gonna do. I guess we have a lot of topics on Halloween and like October Halloween traditions and stuff like that. I'm gonna kick it off with I guess an interesting one that me and Tim both kind of agree to disagree on, and it's called trunk or treat or trick or treat.
Trick or treat only, man.
Yeah. So I'll let you kick this off, Tim, since it was your topic. So you go ahead and get into it.
I've always trick or treated whenever I was little or smaller, whatever. I was younger. What do you say? There was no such thing as trunk or treat ever. Not even a church function or anything like that. And after a while, churches started having it because they didn't want kids going house to house trying to get candy from strangers, which we've been doing for years. So what's the freaking difference? But I understand where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the same for me. It's not the same walking up to someone's trunk or their car and getting candy from them. Yeah, again, it's the safe way to do it. But I'd like to walk up to a house that's all decked out with ghosts everywhere, fucking music playing, just whatever, all decked out in Halloween. That's what Halloween's about. So I have seen a thing in Ohio. They had a little trunk or treat because in Ohio, it started in Columbus. They do have a thing where they are not allowed to celebrate Halloween if it's a school night. They have to do it the Thursday or the Saturday before Halloween.
Really?
Yeah, it started in Columbus, and then now it's working its way out towards other Ohio cities.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really stupid because sometimes that Friday before was like the 26th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they did trunk or treat. But some of the people actually decked their cars out, which is really cool. We saw a couple of hearses that were all decked out, have like dead bodies and stuff like that, and they're handing out candy, which is again. It's cool, but it's not the same.
No.
I'd rather walk up to somebody's house.
I agree. I would say, yeah, I see both sides of it, right? Now having children, I see a lot of them do it for the reason because, well, I think they like to do it because you can't get all the kids together from school. So it's like a way of them getting together with their friends and being safe. Like you were saying, everybody's in one location, they get together. And for the parents that aren't really into Halloween, I would say this is their way of like, let's go get candy. And like you go up there, like you were saying, it's not the door to door thing. And some of them do deck out the trunks, which I've seen is pretty cool. So I see the point of why people want to do it, but I'm agree with you in this topic because we grew up trick or treating is I like the part of going out and getting candy and going to random houses. They're all decked out as well. The part I think people don't like nowadays is back in the 80s and 90s, people could leave their doors open and leave their lights on. We've talked about before. Now you got too many weirdo people out there that are trying to do things to children or abduct them or whatever. So like I think there's a lot of parents who have a lot of fear built into Halloween that their kids are going to get taken or something's going to happen to them, right? Because yeah. So sorry, we had a technical difficulty, but the thing with the children going, house to house and stuff, that was like the cool part of, going to Halloween. I think a lot of kids nowadays too, I guess depends on where you live as well too. If you have a really big neighborhood, lots of kids out and lots of people feel more safe. I mean, when we were children, I remember my mom and dad saying, okay, well, trick or treating, like we'll stay in our neighborhood and you guys go. When obviously when we're younger, they would bring us around, either driving a car, or pull us in a wagon, or just walk around with us. But like nowadays, or at least when I got older, they would say, see you later and be back by a certain time,
Mhm.
like 9 or 10 o'clock, whatever. And sometimes we'd stay out to like 9, 10, 11. But now it seems like the time has changed because I see kids going out earlier and parents shutting their doors earlier and turning their lights off earlier. So like, like around 9 or 10 o'clock, they're done. They're
Not
not
even 9 or 10, be earlier than that even.
probably
You
earlier than
know,
that now.
and
Uh,
I get that because it's dark out. They don't, let more places for people to hide on and stuff like that. But as you think about this too, what when you and I were growing up, we knew everybody in our neighborhood.
hmm
We all rode the same school bus. So like, oh, hey, this is Jimmy's house, this is Bob's house, whatever. We knew everybody.
hmm
And even if you went a couple of streets over, you're still seeing kids, parents, or people that you go to school with or whatever. So we felt safe. Which I get again. I'm keep saying this again that I understand the safety factor, but trunk or treat, you pretty much know everybody. You don't, or you might know everybody, or you
hmm
might not because people from your church or whatever.
Yep.
But it's going up to someone's house, man. Just saying, thank you, and whatever.
I think there's the spirit of Halloween. Besides that, is it's excitement of going to people's houses and getting scared and getting excited about getting candy from people. Not everybody does the whole jump scare thing. They go to. You always can tell the houses that are really spooky,
Oh yeah,
and you can always tell the ones that are just people that just they
those
like
are
the
the
spirit of
best ones to
Halloween.
go to. The best people with the best houses are the ones with the best candy because
Mm.
they are Halloween.
I can agree with that. There are some people that do that, and I think that's one of the reasons why you go out and you're like, oh, I want to go see this house. Like I remember in my neighborhood, there was always this guy who dressed it up to the nines,
Mm,
and every year he would go a little bit bigger.
yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
and I think I've said this before in an older podcast with us, but something I always remember is he took two satellite dishes, like the old big ones that used to be in people's backyards
Yeah,
for
yeah. TV,
TV and stuff,
cable.
the huge ones, and he took them and he welded them together and he put some cages around it and everything and he made it into a flying saucer and put his front yard and
Fuck
he
yeah.
put aliens inside of it and like it was a wrecked spaceship in his yard because he didn't have a nice yard but he put
Yeah,
like in a dirt
yeah.
mound. It was like and it had like
That was
green
pretty
lights over
cool.
and ooze all over it.
Yeah,
It was so cool. Like I was like,
yeah.
wow, this is cool.
That's
Every year he
exciting,
did it,
man.
and to come to find out, I knew his son from going to school with him, like you were saying. So eventually, I always found like this guy's got always got cool Halloween stuff. So I always like going to his house because he always had the coolest gifts.
Yeah.
I guess, but like candy and stuff. But uh, no, you're good. I think that's just one of those things nowadays. The times change. Like there's so many people I know that they're like, oh, we just do trunk or treat and that's it. And it's like, really? Like that's all you guys go to? And I like your point you were saying earlier. Like a lot of people like it because there's their community. They know who they're going to, what they're getting their kids and their candy because if people are
Exactly.
worried about like drugs or anything else getting into it.
Yeah.
Just a little FYI. I mean, anybody that knows that nobody's handing out their free drugs to kids or anybody else. I mean, if they do, they're really messed up. But for most people, like they're paying for drugs or keeping it
Right.
for themselves.
Well, see, that's one bad thing about not what bad thing about trick or treating. It's not like, I'm for trick or treating, but one thing about that, you don't see what they put in your bag. Some
Mm-hmm.
half the time, so you just see this big ass candy bowl. It's got like Reese's in it or whatever, but you don't know if there's a razor blade or something else underneath it or a joint or something.
I'm sure stuff like that does happen, but I feel like it's not it's an exception to the rule.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, I'm sure there's news stories every year. It's just like fireworks every year, someone gets hurt with fireworks,
Right.
right? But it's not
Right.
every single
There's
person that
always
happens.
something bad happening.
Yeah, there's sick people everywhere over the world. I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of because, like, you think about it, Halloween was one of those things that everybody looked forward to, I'd say, when we were younger. And now that we've gotten older, it's like they kind of want to do away with Halloween, the way I feel about it. A point I was making to my wife the other day was like, when you go on TV, whoever watches regular TV anymore, how many commercials or advertisements? I think we've said this before. Was marketed towards like a theme of Halloween or Christmas or anything. You don't
Yeah.
see that as much as you used to anymore.
Right.
I don't know why. I don't know why they went away with it. Technology.
I believe it's technology's fault
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many kids that don't want to go out. They want to stay in their rooms, play on their phones. They don't. There's no socialization for it. And
I,
COVID fucked that up for a lot of people.
I think it did, and then the weird thing about it is too. It's like obviously everybody gets on social media, so it's like all the marketing and all the stuff they do is everything's catered towards social media. Like you'll see
Mm-hmm.
like Spirit Halloween store advertised on there, but you don't see Spirit Halloween being advertised on TV like you used to when we were
Yeah,
kids, or
YouTube or
or
anything.
maybe in the radio. You
Right.
might get an ad for it on YouTube once in a while, but for the most part, it's everything's pushed on social media, which is I guess is just where the content goes nowadays because nobody is really driven to TV anymore. I
Right.
mean, just a little side note, I brought this up too. It's like, when's the last time you saw people put trailers on TV? Like even like for movies, right? Like when you
Yeah.
watch a movie, unless you're watching like the Super Bowl or something that everybody's watching, they might like tailor an ad or a movie that's being marketed for them, like maybe the new Halloween or new something that's out.
Yeah.
Besides that, you don't see 50% or not 50%, 99% of the trailers that are out for movies. Like you only see them. You have to go to YouTube and do them yourself. You'll see them on Twitter or you might see them on Facebook. Someone might be posting about it or
Or
something.
sometimes I do see if you see on Hulu, but they do their own originals pretty much. Or
Hmm.
because I saw one last night that there's some show, that movie that's coming in that later this month. But it's Hulu original. That's why they did it. Not
Yeah.
that you don't see any bunch of the other ones.
And that could be too, where they pay streaming companies to push their content. But now these streaming companies, they don't want to watch other people's content; they want to push their content. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So like, it makes sense. So it's weird how it's changed. Like even that's another reason I hate. And I'm going on a rabbit hole here with this stuff, but it's like the Halloween stuff that when I was a kid, I liked Halloween because everything was themed towards Halloween. It didn't matter what show or what movie it was or where you went in a store, even like the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? Like you go there, even the gas stations would be decked out in like Halloween stuff. It's
Right.
like no one
You
really.
can watch the Price is Right and see pumpkins and jack o'
I didn't think about that, but you're probably right. They probably do that. They don't. They don't really do that anymore. Like
Yeah.
they might put a little bit, like a little effort into it. You're saying like you might see a jack o' lantern, or you might see a pumpkin, or you might see
Yeah.
like a skeleton. But for the most part, they don't do it. But you're right, though. I think I seen Drew Carey last year. He dressed up as like Dracula or something like that during one of the Price is Right episodes, which is cool. Like that's cool. Like at least they're putting a little effort into it. But
Yeah.
I mean, for a fact, like when we were kids, like watching Family Matters or
Yeah. They
Roseanne
all have
or
their Halloween
that
episodes.
70s show or whatever it was we were into when their sitcoms were popular. It was always the theme of like we're gonna do a Halloween one. You know.
That's what I loved about one of the streaming services. I forget what it was. I don't think it was Peacock. That you can watch all the Halloween episodes of a certain TV show, like a sitcom. You
Hmm.
can watch all the like I watched all the Roseanne Halloween episodes
Hmm.
in one like stream. You don't have to go through it all.
Oh, they just
have it saved for
back
you.
to back to
The
back.
playback basically.
See,
Or
that's pretty
playlist.
cool.
They
See,
have
that's
playlists.
that's very cool. Like
Yeah.
that's something I could appreciate for
Yeah.
sure.
Exactly.
Like obviously, like during these times, they should push that content forward. Like if you go on the screen, you should see all the Halloween movies, like popular movies this month, all Halloween movies,
Yeah.
right?
In fact, I will mention this. This is a little off topic. They were talking about the ABC 31 Days of Halloween crap, whatever they have every year.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing Hocus Pocus 18 times in October.
Dude,
Just October.
Is that for
It's ABC Family or
ABC
whatever.
Family or whatever? I get that. It's like the what's the other one? What's the other one that was like Freeform TV
Yeah,
or whatever?
Freeform, yeah.
Freeform's really big about pushing Disney, not Disney, but stuff, but like Halloween stuff, whatever. And 31 Days of Halloween, the same thing. It might be the same channel you're talking
Yeah,
about.
probably.
But they do the same thing. They play a lot of same shows, movies. People love Hocus Pocus, man. The first one
I
for
know
sure.
they do, yeah.
I've
It's
seen
huge. That's the thing this year. Let's segue into that.
what like an in thing for like.
That's the costume this year. Is Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, I guess we can get off this topic, and I actually we can just push into this one because it kind of like goes into that theme. Is like I've noticed that there's an age limit now with a lot of stuff, and a different start time for trick or treating. So,
That's a big thing.
it's weird. Like, what is the age time? Like, what is the age limit and the cutoff time? Like the begin and start. Like everybody I talk to has a different time they start and go. And it's like when I was younger, maybe when I was younger, I was just so naive and dumb. I didn't realize, like, hey, yeah, it's fun to trick or treat. Like, I have vague memories of like my mom, like, putting on your costume, take a picture of you, and like, we're gonna go right now. And I remember the sun being out a little bit, but then I remember getting dark pretty quick when we were going out, and before you know it, it was dark. And as I got older, you didn't go outside until it was dark.
Right.
So now it's like, okay, where's that age limit? Like, are kids only like 16 and under allowed to go by themselves, or can they get in trouble for the police or something? Like, does that happen? Do you know anything?
Exactly what
All right, so like you might know more about this topic than I do. So why don't you let me know what you think about it?
3 different sources. I'm not going to say that because we don't plug them. Three different magazines or 3 websites One of them says kids between the ages 12 and 16. That's when you should stop trick or treating.
Hmm.
Those ages. Another one says it's a 13-year-old, and then another one says 17. So three different magazines that are like just put out articles not too long ago, like a couple weeks ago. Got three different numbers of when you should stop trick or treating. Which
Like by yourself.
no, just in general.
Oh, just stop in
Yeah,
general, like
yeah.
not.
You can go walk around with somebody, but they don't go door to door and ask for candy. I think those are the three different ages that you should stop.
Weird. Like, I think I just personally, because I felt like I grew up out of it, I think I stopped when I was probably 17, 16. Like when I was in high school. Like I started going to Halloween parties with friends, you know?
Right.
But don't get me wrong, when I came home, I wanted to raid my mom and dad's candy
Of
bowl.
course.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's pretty common for
Yeah.
people who come home, either had the munchies when I was high as fuck to come eat some candy or to um, just chill and watch some
Yeah.
Halloween movies. And like, what candy do you guys have left over? I think everybody does that. Like,
Everybody always has candy left over. You
who
know,
doesn't? I mean, unless you're just one of those people that doesn't buy enough
or they
candy.
dump it in the kid's
Yeah,
bowl.
but I mean, let's be real too. Now candy's like $5 a fucking bag when it used to be $1 or $2 a bag for candy,
Exactly.
right? And people,
Exactly.
so I could see why a lot of people are like, screw this, I'm not buying candy because one, I probably don't eat candy, and two, I've realized as being an adult, even when I before I had children, was I would buy all the candy and then we'd have a candy bowl sitting like in our on top of our fridge or like in our pantry for fucking 3 months, and the candy just be sitting there. I might pick a piece out of here, one or two, but that shit would last me 6 months. And then now I see why when I worked in the office, people would bring their candy into the office to give it
Exactly.
and hand it out to
That
get it
was the
away from
stuff like
everybody. You know, it's just kind of funny how it goes hand in hand. You know, people are like, I don't want this in my house, so I'm going to bring it into work and let everybody use it and get rid of it, or let my son bring it to school or something so they
Right.
get rid of it. You know.
I did read up on stuff like that. They said that there's one. This is my rule. Okay, this is just me. If you want to agree with it, you can. I believe it's Halloween is for everybody. If
Mm-hmm.
you got a fucking parent that's walking around the neighborhood with you, give them a fucking piece of candy. Who
Mm-hmm.
cares?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to get rid of it anyway. You bought it. You're not, like, granted, you wanted some yourself, but still, if you're walking your son and daughter to up and down the house, I will give you a fucking piece of candy.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't ask for it, I will tell you, hey, Halloween is for everyone.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's a smart way to do it and say, hey, I'm going to give you two pieces of candy, one for you and one for your mom and dad. And if they
exactly.
say no, they might want one later. You
Last
know.
year, last year, I just specifically remember this because not last year before that. We had a little bonfire thing. A lady came up there with her 3 or 4 kids, and they took their candy. We told them they could take whatever they want because we're not picky like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we told the mother, the adult, we told her, hey, go ahead and take a piece. I think she argued with us like, no, it's fucking Halloween. You fucking take a piece of candy, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And she's all like looking at me all scared. I go, no, I'm serious, dude. It's serious. It's Halloween's for everybody. And there's no age limit for candy. Yeah, you might want to dress up or whatever and go door to door, but still, you're walking your kids around anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So take a fucking piece. And she finally she she walked halfway to the next house and then came running back and said, "Okay, I got y'all."
Yeah. You know, the weird thing about it too, going back to what your original or topic was, that you're right. There shouldn't be no cutoff or age limit for trick or treating. Like, sure, I know it's about the kids or whatever like that, but if you dressed up and you're playing the part and you're going around, who cares? Give them some
Right.
candy. I don't care.
If you say please, thank you, and trick or treat,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting a piece of candy. I don't care. If you got the manners to walk up to my door and
Mm-hmm.
9 o'clock at night, a school night, and ask for a piece of candy, I will give you a fucking piece of candy.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this year, my son, I think he'll be finally old enough where he'll figure it out. Like, he was just running door to door and like saying trick or treat like
Yeah,
last year,
there
which
you
was
go.
fine. And then he's getting better at it. It's like, I'm going to dress up this year again with them, even though, not many parents do that. I don't care. I'm just going to do it anyway with him. Like, he wants
Yeah.
to be Harry Potter. I'll dress up with one of those Harry Potter people. And my
Harry
daughter might be,
Potter.
huh?
Harry Potter.
Yeah, and my daughter might be another character from Harry Potter, which is cool to me. I mean, obviously they're only young ones, so
I can
like,
be Hagrid.
huh?
I can be
You can be Haggard for
Hagrid.
sure. I find it weird that there's just so many people that are just so against it. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's like a religious thing or if it's just people see
it's
it
an
as a negative
it's an
thing.
age thing. They see Halloween as a kid's thing.
Mm-hmm.
They see Halloween movies as a adult thing. They see Halloween, the actual act, is a kid's thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's they did it as a kid, so they figured that's what it's for. They don't know there's no real age limit. I mean, there is some cities that actually do have an age limit, and kids can't go.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like 14 in Tennessee and some other places, but still, it's for the most part, it's for everybody. Seriously.
The way I look at it too, about that is like even if people think there's an age limit or anything like that. I think when you're taking your kids out, you get to a point where you either have trust with your children or not, and you can trust them to say, I know they can walk out and be by themselves.
That's the one. That's my next point.
No, I was just gonna say like I was thinking about it. It's like now in this day and age, it's like you can give your kid a cell phone. Like here's my cell phone. Go to the door if something's wrong, call me. Or you're only allowed to stay in this perimeter of this neighborhood. Like you can go down the street and go around here, and I'll be here when you get back. And then I might walk with you. I won't walk with you actually with your friends, but I'll be in the area, standing there, just watching you from yeah, or like watching you from afar. Like everybody's got different rules. I think it comes down to a maturity level and how old they are. So I think everybody's matured different. I think little girls are probably more of a suspect to get something happen to them. But I think it's just one of those things. It's like if you trust the kids, you trust the area, you trust the. I mean, anything can happen anywhere. But like you're saying, if you know the area very well and the neighbors, and it depends on what neighborhood you're going in. If you're going to a neighborhood where there's 5,000 houses, okay, it's gonna be really hard to trust your kids because you don't know where they're gonna be all night. Like unless you got a GPS tracker on them or something, right? So maybe like people are like, here's a phone, here's their time. You guys meet me at this spot, this time. If you're not here, you're never doing this again, type of thing. Like you have to set some ground rules. I think that's what comes down to a lot of that stuff. I haven't been there yet, so I don't really know. But one day I know I'll get there and probably take your advice and other people's advices of what do you do with your kids when they get to this age.
A lot of people I've seen also do this. They go to house to house, but the parents are in the car when the kids get in the car. So because obviously it's cold sometimes.
Cold or rainy.
Yeah, cold and rainy, but still they can still see their kids from afar, which is fun.
We've done that a couple times. I think I remember Halloween a couple times. My dad brought out. We used to have those big Astro minivans back in the day, those huge ones.
Vans.
Yeah, like no, we're talking about the huge vans, like with a table in the middle that you could put your stuff on or whatever. And all the kids would pile in and run out and run in. I used to love it. Like we went down this huge hill in our neighborhood, and it probably has like over 100 houses on it. You go up and down the hill, and by the time you're going up and down, you're so tired. Like after that, we're like, no one's like, I don't want to trick or treat anymore. But if you drove in a car, it wasn't that bad, So I remember the van days, but I don't know. Maybe I'll be one of those parents that drives around with them. Maybe I won't. I think I'd be one of those parents. I would just be afar and just watch and let them go have fun and try to not be like the hovering helicopter parent. Because I think there's a lot of parents that are just the helicopter parents nowadays that they
kids have it.
right, but they're so up their kids' ass. They have to know exactly what they're doing at all moments of the day. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing here? Like, obviously, when they're little kids, it's a big difference. But when they get older, just let them be a kid. Let them do stuff or whatever. Let them, take that egg and throw it at their neighbor's door if you want to.
Throw that TP in the neighbor's area. Fuck yeah.
Let them TP a tree or whatever. I don't even know if that stuff happens anymore, right? Like, do kids TP houses or anything?
No. I think silly string or something like that for someone's birthday.
I've seen that too. I think that kind of stuff. I don't know if that's a fad that's died with us too. Like the TP, like the South Park episode. Oh, toilet paper. Toilet paper. I love that episode. I like when they did that during COVID. They played that episode because people were going to the grocery store getting toilet paper. And they TP the person's house, and the person comes out and like screams bloody murder that their house is TP, like it was the worst thing ever. But we used to do some crazy stuff like when we were kids with TP and stuff. Like a TP, like I remember one time. I don't know if we did that, but we TP pretty good. But then we started getting a little crazier. We took a rope and tied it to someone's front door in their house and tied it to a tree so they couldn't open their front door. Yeah, Saran wrap doesn't really hurt. Neither does the rope. But it was a good joke. It was from some girl that we used to like or whatever back in the day, or maybe we hated. I can't remember. It's so far ago. But I do remember there was a couple times we egged people's cars and did shit, and it's like, man, I was such a dick when I did that stuff. Like now you think about it, it's like that's someone's car property and how much money it takes to get like.
Think about that because you don't want that to happen to you.
Right, because eggs on your car, dude, it can ruin your paint, it can ruin everything. With me or kid, like this is cool, I egg someone's car,
I don't think it's gonna happen anymore. But we actually ate bologna in somebody's car. You know what that is?
Oh yeah, I do know what bologna means. I've seen my dad's car got bologna when we were a kid, and they put mustard on it and slapped on the car. When they peeled the bologna off, it peeled the paint off the car.
That's why we put bologna. That's someone's car that we hated. Somebody came and it was cool the next day or whatever.
There was this girl that we hated so much, and I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but I'm going to do it anyway. She was just the epiphany or definition of the B word, right? And the bitch, female girl.
We say fuck, so we can say bitch.
I know, but I'm just whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And she was just. We used to have, not used to have, but we still do. In our subdivision, we had a subdivision pool. We go up there, and she was always really ignorant to us. And she was an older girl, whatever, and she lived in like a street over than me, and I knew where she lived. And she was like 16 or 17 times in the car. Well, for like 3 months straight, dude, we took like refried beans and like, and like stuff, and we poured it all over her car. And one morning we got up, we were going to school, and we saw her crying and stuff, and I felt really bad in her car, and I was like, yeah, whatever, fuck her. Then so like we started, we were gonna do it one night, and I was like, we gotta make sure like there's cops or anything, because like we're starting to get really, so we were riding our bikes around before, like checking things out just to make sure we're doing. Yeah, so dude, come to find out, there was undercover cops in his car waiting to see if someone would do this to her car, because I guess it damaged her car really bad. So like it was there for like 2 weeks. Like every other night we'd see a car there, and like we knew the neighborhood so well. Like the car doesn't belong there because this is the street we know on because we all lived on. So like we waited like another couple months and we did it one more time, and then we just stopped or whatever. Yeah, I don't know why we kept doing that, but I just because you're idiot shithead kids, whatever. And today I definitely regret doing stuff like that to somebody, but at the time it was funny to us when we were kids. We're immature back then,
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, we still are. But think of this. This is the way I see it. If you didn't do it back then, would you still be the person you are today?
Probably not.
Exactly.
Probably not, and I probably wouldn't understand a lot of things I went through. And, the funny thing is, I did a lot of stuff, but I never got in trouble. Not saying I was an innocent kid by any means. I just was one of those people that would do stuff with caution.
Yeah.
I never just went and did something.
You second guess that you didn't just on impulse do it.
I think my conscience kicked in a lot because I would think about like, what would happen if I did this? And it's like, is it really worth doing it? It's like, no, I'll let my friend do it and be an idiot, whatever. And I'll just say I didn't partake in it if something happens or whatever.
I was always the mastermind. I was the one that came up with the idea. I was the one that checked everything out, like you said, the recon and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I never actually did most of the things. I did some, yes, but not all of them.
I had balls to do a lot of stuff. The problem was I just knew the repercussions if I get caught wasn't worth it. So like it was cool, and like I guess back then it was cool like to brag about stuff to your kids, friends, like yeah, dude, we did this to this person. But that's the one thing is like when you talk about stuff, you would get in trouble. People would spread the word. Like we never talked about that kind of stuff. And we had an inner circle. We'd talk about it. We never went around like talking at school like, hey, yeah, we egged so and so Mr. Johnson's car over there or whatever. Fuck that. We weren't that dumb. Well, at least I wasn't that dumb. And if they came back to me, it's like, no, I'm not going to say that I admitted to this. I'm not that stupid. Steve? Yeah, no shit. And, the good thing is too, like we never had the cops show up at our house. I mean, a couple of times we had call that were looking for me or the kids, like we did something in the neighborhood or something. But for the most part, we never really had that. But mostly it would be like parents bitching about something, to us or about like your son did this or that. I think that's a thing that a lot of parents suffer with nowadays is like they forget what it's like to be a kid, and there's just so many people that are out there like looking to like blame kids for everything. It's like, man, were you a kid ever? Like, did you ever make mistakes? Like, they're kids. Unless they set your house on fire or killed your dog or something, like, then I can see a real problem. But it's like, if a kid did something on accident or he was doing something to impress his friends, like you can tell when a kid's innocent and he tried something and didn't really mean something. And if the parents are there and they're going to fix the problem, then it's okay.
Right.
I mean,
the thing though too, parents nowadays they're not teaching their kids kind of that kind of stuff. So they don't know to do that kind of stuff. Like if we never brought up the word TPing around like Lincoln, he wouldn't know what the fuck it is.
No, not at all.
Until he read about it on the internet or something like that.
Well, it's just weird, like even just bring that up, like the way fads have like changed. Just like with like popular things you did as a kid, it's like nowadays, like what do kids do? Like they do like TikTok trends. Like what's the cool in the day? Like lick a toilet seat and see if you get COVID. Like remember that was a popular one or something?
Lick the ice cream, put it back. They still do shit like that.
Dude, that is so gross. Or the guy that was opening the sweet teas and spitting in them or whatever, he ended up that guy actually got a felony. Yeah. I think they found that guy because he's an idiot. But
we need to do that.
I don't get on TikTok, and
I don't talk it.
I don't talk it either. And I think the reason is, and I can say what I don't care if anybody hates me or not. One, I think it's everyone says it's for everybody, right? But I really do think it's more of the younger demographic kids. And two, I just think it's another mindless suck of hours of something I don't want to sit there and mindlessly like doom scroll and look at all the time because what? I already do that on Instagram Reels, and I don't need anywhere. Or I got Facebook Reels now too, and now Twitter's got Reels, and it's like, fuck, dude, I don't. YouTube's got them now too, and I try not to spend any time on them. Honestly, I like Instagram the best because I look at pictures and like the random ones come up and you send me them whatever. So like I have a thing where I send them to my friends on there. I'm sure TikTok lets you do that too or whatever. But the amount of memes that me and you share, I'm already ingrained on one. I don't need to get the same videos on four of them. If you notice, if you go to all four of them, they all have the same videos.
Yeah.
Different algorithms and stuff like that, and they build it out for you. But to me, I don't need to get on TikTok. I don't. I'm sure there's some really cool shit on there, like things I'd follow. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's like cool things on there for like people that are gamers or whatever. If you're into hobbies like woodworking or or music or anything else you're into, there's cool ones on there. I come to find out, and I'll shut up about it, is if there's someone I watch and they're like, if you want to have a good algorithm, you make a new account and you just like the videos only that you like, and all the other shit will just eventually just go away from your feed. Like you won't get the random. That's what they say. You have to build when you first log in. You have to build your algorithm right away. It's like on YouTube. When you go to YouTube and you start watching the same kind of videos, now all the content's tailored toward you with that. So if you look at music and video games, you'll only get music and video games. But if you start looking at random stuff like girls shaking their ass, you're getting a bunch of girls shaking their ass all the time, right? It's just the way it works. That's because they're trying to feed you the content you like, so you stay on there more. And it makes sense, right? Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna impress me, if you're gonna entice me to watch the shorts or the reels, or whatever, on Facebook, quit playing the fucking same stupid fucking music. That no, that one.
Yeah,
that's one of them. There's a bunch more.
Well, that becomes a trend too. Like what are popular on videos and what's going to get people to watch your video, right?
I hate this fucking beat music or the trap music, whatever it's called nowadays.
There's certain songs that every video you watch, like some of the videos are really good, and you're like, okay, dude, did we have to put this music?
Yeah, I put most of them on mute. If I see someone talking, I'll unmute.
Mm-hmm. It just depends. I try to drown the music out, but it becomes like a repetitive cycle of like a broken record type thing where everybody's doing the same music because this is what's trendy right now and this is what's going to get you, your feed and your likes on there so you can get some money. And it's like, cool, dude. Just try to stand out. Maybe not do. Maybe stop using the same ones over and over again.
That's the bad word nowadays. It's original.
That is.
Not everything has been done, but seek something original.
Okay, so we're gonna end this topic and what we're talking about, but let's get back into our Halloween stuff. So I'll bring up your topic because I like this one. What did we get from trick or treating other than candy? So like when we walked around, and usually go in your neighborhood, you get the same people. You remember things you get. And I'll start it off so you can think about it for a second. I remember there were certain houses I would get, the obvious like small candy bars and small everything. But then there were certain people I knew that loved Halloween. They would give out like the double big, the life size, candy bars. Dude, and we would try to make like a stop through them once or twice because they always had all the good candy. And then we'd notice that sometimes like older ladies would give you like pennies or an apple or some type of like fruit thing. It's like, what the fuck I want fruit for? Like I don't want this. Like why are you giving me this? Yeah, you give me a poison apple and trying to kill me? Like I used to think that was a kid. I was like, did they poison this apple or whatever? Right. There's some lady that was a witch. She'd dress up and she's like, these are poison apples or whatever. Hand them up because she had an apple tree or something. And it's like, I'm not eating this. Like I don't trust this at all. And they even say that a lot of times, like don't eat food that's giving out during the time, like just wrappers and candy. But if you think about it, anybody can do anything to candy just the same way they do stuff to that. So I remember somebody handing out like like little cars and like things like that or whatever. Like, but obviously they're like, back then it was like a 50-cent toy or $1 toy or whatever. Yeah. And those packages are like Green Army Men or something they would hand out or whatever for like little kids. I'm like, that was a cool idea or whatever. It's like they got to pick like a toy or candy. I remember doing that. And most times I would get like the toy or something. But as I've gotten older, I don't see a lot of people doing that. That's because I don't fucking trick or treat for one. But two, I don't know if people actually have the money to spend like they do on Halloween, like we are talking about earlier. Like, do people really go all out and spend money on that kind of stuff? So what did you see when you were a kid, or what did you ever get that was funny?
Well, I was going to do a little backstory of tradition, why people gave out things other than candy. I forgot it was like 1700, 1600, something like that. They called it Pennies and Beggars Day, which is on the 29th. The beggars would ask for coins. They'd go up to people's houses and get coins. And then the 31st they would give out fruit that was about to spoil to the basically the homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
That's how trick or treating
Worked.
what can I touch? That's how it started out.
Uh-huh.
And then I see that we used to get penny. This little old lady would like roll up pennies in like a little thing with tape, and give us pennies or quarters or something like that. Even like you said, fruit. And a lot of times I seen like Halloween where the kid bit in the apple, bit into a razor blade. After a while, I stopped. I didn't want any kind of fruit whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them were apples or oranges or something like that. Nothing like bananas or anything. It was cool right there. But it's just, like you were saying, the toys. I remember getting little packs of like Legos that made like little race cars or like little bicycles or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are great because then you can put them all together and make bigger Legos and whatever you want with them.
Yeah.
There actually was a house actually around here, but I used to live around here. They would give out old McDonald's toys, like the toys they get from like Happy Meals.
Mm-hmm.
We would get some of those, and some of those were really badass, of course, back then.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had Chicken McNugget transformed into a robot.
Yeah.
Cool shit like that.
Man, those were the days, man.
Right?
McDonald's when they had actually like themed toys around themes.
Toys, yeah.
Halloween, speaking about that for just a second, I mean, we talked about it last year. They brought out the buckets, like the Boo buckets, right? That was really popular when we were kids, and like they're bringing it back in this year. It's like, wow, why did it take so long for them to realize like Halloween is for kids, and McDonald's used to be for fucking kids? Like, I don't know how many times I'm bringing this up in our podcast, but McDonald's used to be so catered towards kids. It was such a kid centric. All the restaurants, right? But it's like that's the one everybody wanted to go to. Like they had the best toys, everything. Like especially on Halloween, like we get our bucket, so we have a Halloween bucket for the kids to go. Little kids, right? They don't need a big bucket for Halloween or that candy. Right. It was perfect, and some of them used to light up or glow in the dark. Was really cool. I think they used to have glow in the dark ones too. But
the burger wars between like them and Burger King. It's like who had the best movie sponsorship, whatever. Like Taco Bell would have Batman, Burger King would have something else at the time. These all different.
Burger King had Toy Story.
Yeah, okay, Toy Story. We'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, McDonald's had somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you went to these different restaurants to get the fucking toys.
It was about the toys.
Yeah,
it was really.
You can get a chicken nugget that turned into a robot. A thing of fries that turned into it.
Yeah.
A burger, just whatever.
Dude, I remember my dad when we were a kid, like when we used to collect the toys or whatever. My son wants his toy, and like it was always random. They would just throw something. But my dad, like, here's $10. Get them the toy he wants and put it in there, so I don't have to listen to this again, right? He never told me that, but he used to do that to the kids, and they would do that.
Right.
Now, I remember there was one time they had like rare ones. There'd be like a chance you would get it or something.
Yeah.
I think my dad still paid him. He's like, here's $20. Go get that damn thing that he wants, or whatever. And they would give it to him because. They had them. They had them in boxes back there. They would just throw random toys in each one and build them out. That there's probably someone there when those things were popular that would already have the box ready with the toy in it, and all you had to do was put the food in it, and it was ready to go, like assembly line type thing, right? Because I remember having the same toy, like 5 of the same toy. My dad, like, you have the same toy over and over again. There was this lady that my mom did a estate sale for. I don't know why I'm going down this ramp because it brings up the toys. She had, I think, like 10 or 15 boxes full of old school toys from McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, and all those places. Never opened in the packages, and that's why I brought up Toy Story because my son loves Toy Story, and my mom got 2 of each of them for the Burger King. When I looked them up, dude, some of these toys are like $200 or $100. So, and my mom's like, just let the kids play with them. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking sell these. Now I open up one of them each, and I let the kids play with them, whatever. But they're collector items. Like this lady collected them because she was a collector for items. She was into Barbie and all this other stuff. But who knew those toys from McDonald's and that stuff would be something? I mean, she had all the Beanie Baby ones. She had them all, dude. I mean, boxes and boxes full of stuff. So it's like, what did she go? Like, did she know someone? Because I guarantee she didn't go buy Happy Meals. Yeah. She probably gave someone $100. She's like, give me a box of these or something.
There was a lady. She had a case that had like 50 or 75 of the little fucking Gidgets, the little Chihuahua. The Chihuahua toys.
The taco dog.
Yeah, unopened.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, dude, money you can get off that thing.
Just
one of them.
Keto Taco Bell.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Back in the good days.
I think it was a Gidget. But it was a girl.
Yeah, I remember when they did the one Taco Bell when they're giving out, like it was like an Xbox or PlayStation and like from Mountain Dew or something, and they had the Mountain Dew points so you could do it. Dude, what a cool idea they used to do back. They don't do anything like that nowadays. They don't do any, they don't market that kind of stuff.
Because people are pissed off about it because it's only one winner.
hmm
You know, it's
I think it left a bad taste in their mouth too because after they saw what happened with the McDonald's like Monopoly game that came out, or whatever, I think a lot of people were like, "Fuck this!" Like the odds of actually winning the $1 million, it was always rigged.
right.
You know, someone they would know which one had the $1 million sticker, where it was going, and what state it was going to, or whatever. You know, I don't know. After watching that documentary, it was really good.
Yeah.
But I think that probably you're like right. You probably put a lot of bad taste in people's mouth. I mean, now they do it online where we see it where like they do it with cars. Like everybody enter this and buy some merch, and then you get entered 50 times to win this car. Now it is real, but I don't know if it's rigged or not. It's hard to trust those kind of things. I did it one time because there was a car I wanted in it. I bought a hat for $20. I was like, actually, I like the hat, but All right, so going back into a different topic. Sorry, we're going to segue off of that one, off McDonald's and our rants about toys or whatever. But um, I think this one's a good one. I think this will be a long topic for us. Is Halloween traditions. So, what did you do on Halloween? What do you do like in the month of October? And like, is there certain shows? Or is there certain like things your friends would do, and like certain things you do with family? I'll let you kick this off so you can give me an idea of what your Halloween tradition ideas were like.
Family wise, it was just my brother and I dressing up. My parents would dress
hmm
around. Sometimes my mom would dress up. My dad never dressed up. I don't know if he was just so anti Halloween. I mean, yes, he was Catholic, but at the same time, it's like, come on, dude, do it for your kids, if not for yourself.
hmm
And we didn't do much for Halloween on the day of, other than going out and trick or treating. Through the month, we of course my brother and I would stay up late, watch horror movies all the time.
hmm
Since there were more in October, we were watching more of those. It was kind of fun staying up till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, watching like Three Stooges, and then Benny Hill kicked on, and after Benny Hill was like Tales from the Dark Side,
hmm
or USA Up All Night, where they had like horror movies from like 8 o'clock until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
hmm
That shit was always fun.
It's crazy to me that USA used to be like such a popular channel.
Exactly.
And
Now it's just if you want to watch wrestling, that's it.
is that what pretty much is on there?
I don't know. I thought it was.
Oh, okay.
It might not be anymore.
hmm
Since they got bought out. We don't talk
hmm
about that. But yeah, the tradition wise, we didn't do much. It was just your typical, going out and having fun. My friends and I, once we got over, we had a couple parties here and there, and then I had a couple parties at my house, a couple years ago, or 10 years ago at least.
hmm
Fuck yeah, and that's about it. Nothing was too extravagant. We went to like maybe 2 costume parties my entire life because that we didn't have that.
It wasn't as popular as it is today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Halloween tradition mine when I was a kid, it was a couple things. It would be like we would go to, I don't know, like we would do. I guess there would be Halloween themed parties we would go to, probably like birthday parties or something. I remember, or like school ones. Like I remember being in school and they would have like Halloween parties, like dress up for like Halloween day. Like I remember doing that as a kid. I don't know if that was a tradition. That was more just part of like school and stuff. I think, but
Quick question for that one.
Mhm.
Okay, this is I think everyone had this dilemma. Every day in junior high, or sorry, high school, grade school, every Halloween you dressed up, correct?
Mhm.
And everybody else pretty much did. Junior high, same thing. What did you do the first Halloween, your freshman year of high school? Did you dress up or did you not?
Did not.
Why?
Because I didn't want to look like a fucking dork. I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think you're so conscientious.
You think you're growing up now? You shouldn't have.
I think you're just one of those. I think it could be more of a guy thing, and probably good. I was just probably really conscious and worried that people are gonna make fun of me and think and be like, "Well, look at this fucking dork," coming in dressed up at school on Halloween.
The day of I go everybody's gonna dress up. I'm gonna be a dork, but if I do
Yeah.
dress up, I'm gonna be a dork.
It's like that movie, like someone like plays a prank on somebody and like told them to dress up in certain costume, and they dress up in it, and everybody else doesn't dress
Right,
up, and like
exactly.
they dress up like a farm pig or something. Like I
Right.
don't know, like something stupid. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just making shit up because it's something random. No one would be like,
Right.
"Why the hell you dressed up like a pig
Right.
or a farmer or something?" Like, what are you doing? But I think there's a movie where someone that tells them to dress up.
Like that.
They go to a party and she dresses up and she's the only one that dressed up and everybody didn't dress up. I can't remember what it was, but.
It's like
Mhm.
when they're graduating
Mhm.
from high school, when they're having to get their diplomas, whatever,
Mhm.
they tell one kid that everybody's naked.
That's right.
They even showed underneath, and even showed really hot girl was fucking naked.
Uh-huh.
So he was like, oh god, dress naked. He gets up there, they rip his robe off. Everybody else has clothes on, he doesn't.
Yeah. I love that movie. Going like into that, but like what you were saying though, it's funny because like tradition wise, like I think I did this kind of the same stuff that most kids would do. Like I would come home, like I would watch Nickelodeon. Every cartoon was catered towards Halloween, so like I always look forward to watching those. I did watch a lot of scary movies, so like my parents did let me watch like Halloween and do stuff. And I don't really remember which channel I watched it on, probably USA or TNT or whatever else were kids or whatever we had that were popular channels. I watched a lot of horror movies at night when my sister would go to sleep or sometimes awake or whatever to scare her. I remember watching Tales from the Crypt that was really popular during those
I
times. So
love
like Tales from the Crypt were always good. Like, and all I had to do to get my sister to go to sleep was play that, and she heard the skeleton scream. I think she's still like mortified and scarred from that. I'm not joking. She's
Don't tell me that.
yeah, dude. No, you need to. So we probably need a pranker.
Because you know I can put all that shit on sound effects together.
Yeah, you should do that to her, torment her. But like, I think some of that stuff, like our friends, like Halloween wise, like I mean, we'd always dress up and run around. Sometimes we dress up in our costumes early and like go outside and play in them, whatever. Like I remember doing that as a kid. Um,
Here's the question: who had the best Halloween episode, like sitcoms we used to watch? You know, Roseanne. You know who Improvement did one every year.
I think to me, I just watched whatever was on TV. I just watched them because they were Halloween. Like I liked Roseanne a lot. I think those had really good. My mom and dad always liked Roseanne. I always liked, like I said when I was a kid, I liked all the Nickelodeon shit because I was a young kid. So like I didn't really have a favorite, but I liked a lot of them. I don't remember Beavis and Butthead ever having any year like
Oh
that.
yeah, they did.
They did.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think I remember directly, but I mean, probably. And I probably watched when I got younger. I liked all the South Park ones. South Park used to have some ones that are catered towards it. But reality was, I liked things that were Halloween, so it didn't really matter to me what it was.
It was
But
just a normal typical day.
I mean, there's sometimes, dude, I would after I got done being Halloween, I would just run in and watch Nickelodeon and watch Halloween. I remember that vaguely going back in and just sitting there watching all the Halloween because they would play them all night long. Or they're, they used to have like Snick, Saturday Night
Oh yeah.
Nickelodeon or whatever. I remember they would have like a countdown. Our Real Monsters always had a really good one. I remember because obviously it was kind of like monster,
Right.
like it was themed towards for kids to be kind of scary.
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Are You Afraid of the Dark? Like
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. Actually, they're coming out with the Goosebumps movie. Did you see that? I thought that was cool. Like,
Yeah.
I know they tried to do that a long time ago and it failed miserably. So I really hope if they do it this time, they actually do it right. Like
The Fear Street.
the what?
The Fear Street.
I've never seen that.
Oh god, dude, on Netflix.
Is that based off Goosebumps?
It's R.L. Stein, but I forgot what his Goosebumps or something
Dude,
else.
wasn't he like he was in crazy popular with kids when we were kids? Like the Scholastic book fairs and
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
I always remember like everybody would get the Goosebump books.
Yep.
My mom and dad used to give me once in a while, but I remember this kid up the street to me was a big fucking dork. Not even a dork. Maybe he was spoiled because he was the only kid.
Yeah.
I wanted to punch him in the face when I was a kid. Because I was kind of envious and jealous of him. But he had every Goosebumps book you could think
Yeah.
of, and he always had him. He'd always like be carrying him around, like showing him off, like he was Mr. Cool and popular. And then I come to find out he was just. He wasn't really a nerd. He was just spoiled because he was only. Oh yeah. But those always stuck in my brain. R.L. Stein, dude. I always liked the books, and they were easy reads too. But I remember being back then, I just didn't really even care about reading back then. So like, I wanted to watch it exactly. But going back to some like family traditions, I always remember cutting pumpkins with my mom and dad. Like not really my dad, my mom.
Yeah.
My dad would come out like, my dad like, what are you guys doing? Cutting pumpkins, cool. Like he'd see us what we're doing. Like he might help a little bit. And my mom would be like, you want to bake the seeds and eat them? Like we'd do that once in a while. We didn't do that as much as we got older. I'm like, I just didn't like them. I didn't think they were that good. But we did them when we were kids. I would remember throwing tons of newspaper down on the table and throwing all the guts in there, which is always cool. Like that, the process of doing that is cool. Like I can't wait to do that with my. I know. And I remember like using their tools always suck. Like this is the worst fucking tool ever. Like let's get a knife out and cut this or whatever. Like, but they would work if you knew what you're doing. I was gonna say like we talked about that like last year during Halloween traditions, I think, or something we talked about during Halloween was now they got like the cookie cutter ones that you just take like a hammer and smack it in and it comes out and make a perfect eye. What a smart idea, dude. Like somebody that's really in the pumpkin.
The artistry of when they do cut some of or carve some of those, oh my god, dude, fucking amazing.
It's like anybody. It's like some people have talents like they do with ice sculptures or anything else. I think there's people that all year that people up doing pumpkin sculptures, and they
Yeah.
do some really cool ones. Like, I did one last year. I do one every year. Even if my kids can't do it or nothing, this year they're going to do it with me. I do still like putting a real candle in there, but a lot of people are like, just buy the fake candles because you won't burn the inside and like rot it out and do stuff. And it's like, I guess that's a smart thing to do. Buy the fake candle and put it in there, or
Do what you want to do.
the flicker candle.
Yeah.
I think this year I'm going to do what you did say. There's a lot of people that hated that you cut out the bottom instead of cut out the top
first, and then
because you ruin the integrity. But I like cutting the top out too. So I might do one top and one bottom. I don't know, but I might do both bottoms this year. Whatever. Yeah, okay. But like that was kind of like my family traditions. Like we'd always do pumpkins. We would decorate the house a little bit outside. We wouldn't do as much outside as we like. My mom and dad never decorated the outside, but inside was always decorated with all the stuff. But we'd have our mums out. We always talk about in the pumpkins and stuff like that. But besides that, that was just kind of like I think stereotypical family like traditions. Watch the shows, eat the good family food, candy. And then I think as we got older, we did bonfires in the street, and they would do chili and stuff like that, whatever. And that was always cool to me too. And I think something we're leaving out that's kind of like no more of a family tradition as we got older now. It's like a lot of families walk around and get wasted and drunk on Halloween, or just sit down. It's like a reason for them to drink and hang out.
Yeah, that's their way of escaping. Like kids that wear masks.
The kids go out and get masked and do stuff, and the parents sit around and get drunk and drink, or whatever, which is fine. To teach their own. I don't care. I won't be one of those parents still, though. I'd rather just hang out and get dressed up and like enjoy the moment. Like, not saying I can't have a beer or nothing. To me, Halloween's about Halloween, and it's not just. Yeah, you're still celebrating either way. I just think everybody looks for excuse to drink nowadays. So like that's like the most, especially in Missouri. Like I feel like we're just such a big state. I mean, I went to a concert on Friday. Not the one you would care about, but I went to it for my wife and stuff. Whatever. I went and saw Jason Aldean or whatever. And it was weird going to the Hollywood Amphitheater. I mean, obviously, it used to be Riverport when we were kids or whatever, but dude, the amount of people you see that go there, I'm just a country concert, every single person there has a drink in their hand. Like, everybody's drinking whatever, and they're partying and have a good time or whatever, which is fine. A lot of country rednecks, but there's a lot of just normal people too. And I told my wife, I said, I feel like I'm in a Halloween concert. And she said, why? I said, because everybody comes here and plays dress up. And she goes, why do you get so offended by that? I'm like, I don't get offended. I just find it comical. Like, I know girls like to dress up. They're girls, right? They like to get dressed up in nice outfits. It's like even some of these guys I know that probably don't even come here to wear cowboy boots and Stetson and big belts or whatever. You can see the guys that are country. So I feel like it's Halloween. So like I told her that. I said, how many country concerts I've been to? Like one or two, and it's like it's always like this. But it's like, how many rock and roll concerts I've been to, or alternative or metal concerts I've been to, that people just dress up. They don't dress up to look the part. They just dress like as themselves. Like
go as themselves.
Right, they're just them. They're there. Like they don't just go buy a band shirt to go play dress up like girls do or whatever. Right. They're there. They may have a black shirt on.
You still get the goth that paints their face white with corpse paint and stuff like that. Who does it on a normal daily basis?
Right. What I meant was like guys and people that are just true fans sometimes just don't go other ways. Now, I think it's cool that people want to dress up and celebrate something because they're there and they want to do whatever. Like they want to wear the band shirts and the merch and everything. Like I don't have a problem with that. I just feel like country concerts are so fake. From that perspective, I feel like it's Halloween, and I laugh about that inside, and it makes me chuckle. If people are having fun, I don't really care. It's just me being observant. It's like there's no way the 6-year-old dad over here is a big country guy. You can just tell. You can tell the country guys from the non-country guys, and that's all I'm saying. Like that's what I mean. Country girls from the non-country girls. It's just a reason to dress up and be slutty or whatever else the girls would do too. There's a lot of girls that are younger. That's all they care about. They're looking for attention from guys. And attention from girls too. Like they want them to be noticed, wearing all the sparkly shit, whatever, the rhinestones, whatever. I don't care. I just found that comical. On the other side note, whatever, it has nothing to do with Halloween. But
same thing with you can tell the dads of the group or whatever of the area. Because they're sitting down while their daughters are dancing, screaming their heads off.
Yeah. We had people like that. I won't say this. I've been to a country concert, or I've been to a concert to in a long time. That the amphitheater there has changed so much, but the dude actually put on a pretty good show because I like how he got on stage and talked about like he's not racist, like his song wasn't racist. The whole thing about his song, right? Whatever. Yeah, let's get into that. Yeah, but anyway, like. either way, it was like I thought I was gonna hate the show. I went there open minded. It was okay, but we left early, which was awesome. So like, thank you, Lord, that I got to leave early.
That traffic's a bitch.
Traffic is a bitch, but to me, like, it's funny as I've gotten older now. Like I fall asleep early or whatever. I'm getting tired, whatever. Dude, I was just worn out. I was just ready to go.
That's on record now. So you ever bitch about me early, I'm gonna punch you.
No, I think it comes with the territory. Like as you get older and you're doing more things and stuff, like I think that happens organically. But
You have a reason
what, kids?
to be tired.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always doing something. I'm never sitting still. I got problems. Um, so back to Halloween stuff. Those are like the family traditions, friends, shows, movies. What we do in October. I think it's kind of like what everybody kind of trying to do. I mean, this kind of goes into it too. As I got older, did you do haunted houses or hayrides, or did you do both?
I did a couple haunted houses. I honestly can't remember the names. It was so damn long ago. And lots of hayrides as kids. A lot.
I would say that too. Like we did a lot of hayrides as kids, and as we got older, like we did the haunted ones.
Yeah. I think I always. Was it a hayride? No, it was a haunted cornfield I did one time in Florida. One of the haunted houses in Orlando is you had to sign a waiver before you actually entered the doors, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But what they did was, say, like you had me, you, and Brandon who went. If the person who made the reservation, they can do a special party, basically a special kind of party kind of thing. And what they do is they pull you aside and or talk to you on the phone and say, "Hey, do you want to get your friends good? Do you want to scare the shit out of them?"
Uh-huh.
If you agree to it and everything, all the waivers and stuff you sign away, you could be a part of the haunted house stunts that or whatever that they do.
Mm-hmm. Like part of like the plan or something.
Yeah, basically part of the whole.
It's the skit.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The bit, whatever it's called. The one I went to was I had a green glow stick around my neck. You would have a green glow stick. Brandon, who made the reservations, would have a red one or a pink one. We just thought that they were giving different color glow sticks to everybody. We go through it, scare the people jumping out, trying to scare the hell out of you, whatever. Of course, it doesn't work for me. They actually, the person grabbed somebody. So they Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon is the example. They grabbed Brandon and jumped through a window with him to see if it would scare the shit out of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, that's fucking cool." They took Brandon over. I went with. Like that's fucking cool.
So you turn around like he's just missing. He's gone.
No, it's just you're walking. He's walking in front of us or between us or whatever, and they just run up and tackle his ass out through a window.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, dude, he's part of the stunt now. That's fucking cool.
That is pretty cool. Like, I guess it's kind of like you're in on it, but you don't let anybody know you're in on it. Right?
That's why he wore the pink.
No, I get.
So the players know who he was.
No, I get that. I just think that's cool. Like, I didn't know that was a thing with haunted houses at all.
No, it's just one in Orlando. They closed down a year or two later.
Okay.
Somebody really got hurt.
Did they?
I think that when they went through a window or they got pushed off the house or something, they missed the mat.
Oh.
Their legs made it, but their
body didn't.
Yeah, their waist up did not.
They got cussed or something.
Paralyzed like a motherfucker.
Paralyzed?
Yes. He survived, but he got paralyzed.
Yeah, that sounds like a lawsuit written all over it. Even if you sign something, that sounds like a lawsuit.
But the idea of that is really fucking cool.
It's cool, but it should be more something where like you go ahead and like you go ahead of time, you sign the waiver, you do all the stuff, and it's like something that's easy. Like they capture them and then like they put them on something.
Like someone with a chainsaw that doesn't have a chain on it. Something that's really scary and lifelike, but just you're not gonna harm.
I think it'd be funny if like they did something like where like if you're in on the skit and you're walking behind them, like they pull you aside and like they put you like in a tombstone or something like that, like in the ground, like here lies Brandon, and like put his name on. I'm like, dude, is that Brandon's name over there? Like something stupid like that, like one of your buddies' names or friends. Like you'd be like,
what'd be really fucking cool? Like you walk with a group of people and they snag you out of like other group, and then you're like, everybody's slipping out because you don't know where you went and stuff like that. Then they go later down the house and they see a tombstone or a grave or even a coffin, and then it opens up and you're in there.
Yeah, see, that's what I kind of was getting to, like something like that. That'd be pretty cool. Like if you're part of it in that way, that would be cool. Like you're playing the gag on your family or whoever else. I think that's a good idea. The haunted house and hayrides when I was a kid, I think I did a lot more like hay rides weren't haunted when I was a kid. And it was just go around and see what was going. Yeah, it was a hay ride. It
Yeah,
was
you
just
saw you looked at pumpkins, you got off, you grabbed a pumpkin.
yeah.
Like
You got
that,
your
yeah.
pumpkins, got back in. You know, it
Something
was
you do grandma with grandma on Sunday.
yeah, and you know, and they had a bunch of other things like slides and craft. We do it now, like you know, and
Even a
they
castle kind of thing or a house.
the
Adult
castle
house.
house, and they
Yeah.
have like a maze you could
Yeah,
run through or
yeah.
whatever. And then like now, that was pretty cool. Is we didn't have a kid, they have pumpkin launchers. You pay $5, and you can shoot like
Trebuchet, whatever they call it.
huh.
A trebuchet,
Something like that, yeah,
catapult.
yeah, and they put it's compressed air, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
stick a small pumpkin and you shoot
Yeah.
at a target and it blows up. We did it last time. I think I spent like $30, just me and Lincoln shooting them and blowing shit
That's
up.
cool.
And then they do some other ones like that, but yeah, I think that's a good experience, and maybe that's part of the family traditions that we left out was like
Yeah.
always going to the
We never
pumpkin.
had that.
No, I meant like always going to a pumpkin patch and
Yeah.
like doing hay rides. You could throw that in there, but
Yeah.
as I got older, I think that's where it segues into like you didn't go trick or treating, you went to haunted houses, or you went to or Halloween parties or whatever. But I think I used to go to haunted hay rides, either with girls or guys, just to go with friends to hang out and do it. And some of them were really scary, and a lot of them were really. I guess a lot of things didn't scare me as I got older, so it wasn't that scary. But it was just the experience of going. You know, it was something fun to say, hey, I went and did a haunted hay ride. Haunted houses seems like they've kind of died off too. Like you don't see them really promoted like they did in St. Louis.
No.
Like they used to, like you'd hear them all over the radio. I think remember when I was a kid, the radio used to be a big promoter of all that kind of
I
stuff.
think that's the St. Louis thing. Ohio.
Did they really?
Before we left, there was one that had like 5 stages of hell or 7 stages of hell, something like that. It was a huge one. And then they had a couple of them down the street that did the same thing. Or even when we went to Niagara Falls, they had a little strip, not like kind of like a Main Street thing where you have everything there. There was a strip area, a strip on the street that had two different kind of haunted houses. We wanted to go, but the lines are fucking ridiculously long.
Well, yeah, it's
I think
weird.
it's St. Louis, so that could be that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the areas. I think if we went out farther, there was like more country or like more away from the city.
Yeah.
They probably do have them around here, and they're probably just not as promoted. They might have them in Illinois or something around
Right.
us. I'm gonna look into that this year because I haven't seen one advertised in a long time for a haunted house, and if we have, I just probably ignored it.
The only thing, honestly, I think it was last year, the year before. I remember sending it to you. You said you wanted to go. I don't think.
I thought it was out of state.
No, there was one downtown by like Soulard. I think there was a haunted house. And the other half was like an arcade or something like that.
Oh, you know what? I do remember that.
Horror merchandise store.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't know if it's actually 24.
You went through it, and at the end, you have to go hang out, and do, like
Yeah.
arcade and do shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I remember that.
Yeah.
I wonder if
Like
they.
$25.
I bet they still have that down in Soulard.
Yeah.
Maybe I could bring Lincoln down there and do something like that.
Exactly.
Or now thinking of it, I do remember like 7 years ago. I think I've told you this before, but I remember there's a haunted house for adults you pay for. You go into the one, what's it called? Where's the haunted house? It's an actual haunted house. It's in St. Louis, Limp Mansion. You pay to go there, and it's a giant party.
Yeah.
And you play dress up and go there, and they have beer and everything else there to hang out, whatever, and bonfires and stuff to chill on. And it's a lot of younger kids. It was like my 20s I did it. I think I dressed up like Jack the Ripper, and someone else dressed up like something like that. And you could play the murder mystery game. We could go around trying to figure out.
I would love to do one of those.
They did one of those, and then but most people are just there to party and drink and hang out, whatever. And by the end of the night, dude, we were so worn out. I remember going around and doing it, but it was cool. Like, it was surreal being in a real considered haunted house on Halloween, hanging out. That was cool. That was one cool thing we did in St. Louis. But I'd actually like to go there and spend a night there one night, like during Halloween, like.
Definitely.
But and like on Friday the 13th, that would be something cool. Not just to say like, hey, we went there for a Halloween party. A little bit different when there's nobody there and it's quiet, or just go there for a murder mystery dinner because I know they do those things kind of there too. I've never done that. Yeah. Yeah.
That and escape rooms.
I've done escape rooms. If I ever do them again, you have to go with people who are into it because it's not as fun when people are there. A lot of people are there just to go and have drinks and like, oh, we went to an escape room and we didn't escape. Cool, yeah. It's like I was there actually trying to use my brain and trying to figure out like how do we get out of the escape room? What do we do? And then they had the one next to our house at one point in time. I was going to do it. They had a South Park theme one. I really wanted to do it, but nobody wanted to go with me. I should have just went by myself. But they're not as fun as they're really advertised unless you go with people that are really into that kind of stuff. It's one of those things like you have to like get into it and like actually play the part, or you just go there like this is boring. It's like kind of being like in school. You know, you got a couple of other people that are doing it and everybody else just standing around watching you. That's what I felt like was going on. Most people are just sitting there just talking. which made it. And I was like, I just paid $50 to do this.
For you to stand there?
It was kind of, yeah. I don't know if those are still like a real popular thing. It seems like those things are really more popular with like work.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people that go to work,
Yeah.
they do
Team
team building, exercises, all that
Right.
kind of stuff. Let's go here and team build
Right.
and jerk each other off. Yeah, okay. Like, I hate that stuff too. I'll always emphasize on all our podcasts, I hate circle jerks, but yeah, I hate fake forced work stuff. I'll just never get over the fact that I have to do that kind of stuff. It's like I'd rather just sit there and work. Like, just let me work. I don't want to go to this stuff. Yeah, I'll see you at the Cooler Talk. So going back to one of our topics, I'll get off this stuff, like we always do, is has Halloween evolved? And if it has, what's changed from your perspective, from where kids till now? So the last 30 years of Halloween, what have you seen change? Like, not just like, I'd say just everything, the whole broad spectrum, like candy, mask, costumes, you name it, dude. Like things that you decorate with. What's something you used to see now that you don't see anymore? Or, anything like that at all?
I see a lot of less trick or treating. I don't know if it's like we talked about before with COVID, or if it's just people, the kids get snagged or something like that. But I see a lot less how trick or treating. But what doesn't make sense is candy is still selling. I saw a thing on the other day that says Reese's is still number one seller in the world, even with Halloween. M&M's is second, I think Snickers is third, something like that. But the candy is still selling, but it's not here.
I feel like the reason that's why, this could just be me, but this is the thing observation I've seen. So I feel like one, people are having less children, so you don't see a lot of kids doing that. So I think that has something to do with it. Two, I think Halloween is not looked at as like we looked at it with kids. I think we've said this before. But I think a lot of parents just don't care about it, or they just want to celebrate, which is weird to me. But whatever, to each their own. But I also think it has something to do with the generation of kids that are just not into it as much. Their technology, like you're saying, I think a lot of kids are more like into it, like an online thing, like they decorate their character online and play in a virtual world nowadays. Right. Not saying that really happens, but I'm just saying that could be one of the things. But
that's a big thing.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I think another thing is we don't live in an area where there's a lot of kids. So I notice like there's certain areas around we're in Missouri that, like Winsville, apparently it's got fucking tons of kids everywhere because every neighborhood, every house, someone has like 2 or 3 kids. I think that's not saying, but at least every subdivision has a lot of kids or whatever, and they have subdivisions that are really close, and they have like huge Halloween things, and everybody drives around golf carts. Like that's the thing, people that they don't trick or treat, they drive around golf carts to each house, which is lazy as fuck to me. But the parents drive those and drive the kids around. I get it; it's cool, it's convenient. And they probably drink their beer and hang out and listen to radio and do whatever, play spooky songs on it maybe or something, but. I think that's another thing. We live in an area, like my area that I live in, it's not as good. So we go to my mom and dad's subdivision where there is more kids. Like when I was a kid, we couldn't even walk in the street. There was 300, 400 kids, 500 kids in the street walking around at all times. I'm like, this is awesome. It was like chaotic. It's like that South Park episode when everybody, they get the electric scooters. So they get all the way to each other's house because there were so many kids that were fighting over candy. It's like, that's what I felt like I was a kid. We were fighting to get to each door. We would run to each door. We were so excited. Like kids still do that, but not like I see now. But then if you go to areas where they're less populated with where kids and it's more adult, like subdivisions, that's probably what we're seeing. Like we're in a subdivision now. You probably get the same thing. There's hardly any kids. So that's probably what we're seeing. But you're probably right, though. There is kids that are less trick or treating. I mean, I think that's just what it is. Evolving.
It's
no longer exists.
Things that like no longer exist is if you watch movies about trick or treating. I'll use Halloween for an example. By the time Lori gets home from school, which is usually 2, 3 o'clock, so it was in the 80s, so it was probably 2 o'clock. The kids are already trick or treating. They started at 2 or 3 o'clock, and then they go until 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Nowadays, if you do see kids, they wait till it's completely dark, which is usually, since it's like fall time for St. Louis,
5.
It's 5 o'clock, sometimes even 6, 7, and then they're only out for a couple hours. That's what for us. If we waited till it was getting dark, not dark, getting dark.
That's how we kind of did it too.
And then that was the perfect time to go. And then, like I said, with the age limit, with people like that, with kids that did it and stuff like that, it's totally changed.
Mm-hmm.
The game is totally changed. Like you said, 30 years, dude. Not even in 5 years, let alone 10.
Mm-hmm.
The whole entire Halloween trick treating, door to door shit is changed.
I think it's just the era and time we're in. I think the kids as parents growing up, you would think that since we grew up with it, people would be more into it. And I think, like I said, it's double-edged sword. We live in an area where there's not enough kids. Probably the area where they're really populated with like a new area where people all move because it's more kid-centric. They got a good school district, whatever. They probably got a lot more kids that go around. I can probably speak to this talking to some other friends that probably live out in those areas, but also I kind of like that it's not so congested where I go, like where kids can go each house and they're still celebrating. Like my old subdivision I lived in, the Vineyards, obviously, you know where I lived, Tim.
Yeah.
Used to be like one of the prime time places to go trick or treating, and I'd say around our area in St. Charles.
Even if you didn't live there, that's where you would go.
A lot of people would get dropped off in our subdivision, and they go to the next street over, which was Cambridge Crossing, which was another big subdivision. And you could hit both those. By the time you're done, dude, 3 or 4 hours go by and you were dead. And you'd have 2 bags of candy or pillowcases, right? Pillowcases. But that's something that definitely has evolved different. Like I think there is just a weird demographic around like people don't celebrate Halloween and they don't trick or treat as much. And I don't know if the kids just aren't into it as much because there's nothing that really hypes them up. Like
sometimes a lot of parents nowadays don't raise their kids on candy.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be another thing that they're brainwashed into thinking it's stupid because you're getting candy.
I could see that for sure. I think it's something. I think something I've seen too evolve is like, and I think you brought this up before, is masks have changed. Obviously, when we were kids, a lot of kids really had like plastic masks.
Yeah.
A lot of like even little kids, but now a lot of the masks now that come in, I still see plastic masks, whatever. Like my son, has got a Scream one that's plastic, whatever. But then you see a lot more are latex, or they're like more lifelike, but they're more expensive too.
Exactly.
Like I think that's changed too. Like the Halloween costumes have changed where they're more better quality, but they're more expensive.
Mm-hmm. The better the quality, the more you're gonna be paying.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Michael Myers mask that was made by Trick or Treat Studios. It looks really fun.
Well, I think there's another thing too. To bring up what you were saying. Sorry, but to interrupt you was I think a lot less kids go to the fucking Halloween stores to shop. I think when we were kids, Halloween stores were everywhere. They're promoted everywhere.
Walgreens had them,
Walgreens, Walmart, you go anywhere, they all had costumes. Now you go on, you have to either buy them online exclusively. The Spirit store might be the only one that exists around the world that people actually go to. I don't know. I haven't seen a Johnny Brock's in a long time, but man, when we were kids, that's where I always went with Johnny Brock's. Well, obviously there was always expensive. I meant like when I was kids or whatever. I think I got my Halloween mask from there, and I don't know what happened to someone stole it or something. I had a really good one. I paid like $100 for that fucking mask. I think I wore it like 3 years in a row. I was like, I'm going to be Michael Myers. I don't care. When I was like 12, 13, something like around there. I think the other thing was too, like we talked about on one of our podcasts, is people went to the mall, and there was a lot of mall stores. They had Johnny Brock's and Spirit, in the mall, and then you had Spencer Gifts you could go to. Where was like another mall? They had the costumes everywhere. You don't really see costumes marketed. Where do you go now? Amazon, eBay, and you said maybe online to buy like.
You can't try them on.
Well, that's the problem. You can't try these things on, and then also, or you have to find a store that's 24/7, 365 is dedicated to Halloween, and they're really expensive because they probably got the real fan stuff, the people that are really good at Halloween. So it's like they're not really catered towards kids. So I think that was a problem too. We saw a couple of years during COVID, like they didn't have enough costumes for kids. Kids had to start making their own. I think that's something that I've seen different nowadays. It's probably not as common, but people don't make costumes like they used to a lot. Like my wife, she said her dad always made her costumes for their kids. Like they would come up with something, he would design something to make it for them and make it really like custom and cool. I thought that was cool. Like, man, it's like I never did that, but I see it more like nowadays with obviously the social ones. Like made a Transformer one, the kid could do it. He's remember the kid did the boxes in the car or whatever. Yeah. But
I think one year my mom made my brother a Woody Woodpecker.
Woody Woodpecker?
Yeah. I remember it was horrible.
Mm-hmm. It's just a thought that counts, right? You're a little kid, like nobody cares or whatever. But I think that's something I've seen evolve.
Kids back when I was 2, it was they wore the makeup.
Oh yeah, the makeup.
Yeah.
Obviously,
They
girl,
wasn't so intricate, obviously, as stuff like
the
nowadays.
fake
Nowadays,
blood
they
you put on
show,
your teeth or your whatever
yeah,
and tastes like the capsules you would chew on to get blood in your mouth, whatever. They stopped all that kind of stuff.
yeah, because it looks too real. Is it real or not? That's why.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I remember one year. This is so fucking bad.
Hmm.
This episode gets canceled. My bad. One year I couldn't think of a costume at all. My little cousin Harley, who was, I don't know, 5 or 6 at the time, his mom didn't want to walk around trick or treating. But I said, I miss trick or treat, so I'll go off and go with you.
Hmm.
So I have a Cardinal shirt on and I think jeans or something. I was not even dressed up for Halloween. I didn't have a costume. But I really wanted to fucking do something.
Hmm.
So I go to Walgreens. I'm looking through everything. There's nothing there. So I was like, fuck. So I bought a bucket of blood or a tub of blood. Like, you know what? Fuck it. This shirt's got holes in it, whatever. I poured the entire jug, I think it was like 2 gallons or something like that, blood on my shirt.
Oh, fuck.
My cousin and my other cousin who brought her child, I was like, what the fuck are you supposed to be? I said, I'm a 9/11 victim.
Holy shit.
Because it was in 2001 when we went.
Dude, I'm surprised you didn't get murdered by somebody. Like, really murdered for doing that.
Yeah, it got a few laughs. Other people were like, oh my god, that's just terrible. I'm like, yeah, you should know me. I'm a terrible person.
Dude, that's crazy. I could have swore. Um, oh, yeah. I think I told this on another podcast too. Man, I always bring up other podcasts or whatever. But my friend that I played hockey with during the time, I think I told you this before, and I probably said it. I don't know. I keep repeating myself, but he put a bowl of sugar on his front porch during the anthrax scare, and he put a sign in it and said anthrax. And guess who got called? The FBI got called and went to his house.
Who was
And
that? Who was it? Eckerd?
no, my friend Ryan Bowman. He was a goalie at played with us, or whatever.
Okay.
And he ended up getting arrested, and they brought him in and said this thought it was a
Yeah.
joke. He's like, dude, it's Halloween. I thought it was a joke. I'm like, dude, we don't take anthrax as a joke. He's like, it was a bowl of sugar, and he's like, you could tell it was sugar, but it was white, and they're like, no, look, they weren't taking it as whatever. It was during that whole scare thing, so. Yeah, he got in big trouble about that, but at the same time, it was like he was laughing his ass off. But I remember he didn't show up to hockey for like a week, and we're like, "Where is this kid?" He got in big fucking
He
trouble.
better be in prison or with the FBI. Oh, wait, no.
Dude, even school got involved. But that's what's so weird about to me, like the school thing. I always wondered about this, like watching like TV shows of how real it is. But I guess it is. Like if you do something outside of school and the school finds out about it, like you can get expelled or in trouble. It's like what did what did that have to do with the school?
Okay, I'm not trying to keep this vague because I don't want to put anybody on blast or anything with this.
Mhm.
It's because of the school is because the school doesn't want to be associated with that person. This person I worked with somewhere up northeast,
Mhm.
and he's
Rhonda's.
he was a great kid. He had a little learning disability, and he had problems.
Mhm.
And nothing against his disability though. He was like I said, I had to work with him a lot. Well, after I left, he was trying to take my job, and he was caught touching another girl inappropriately 12 times. And immediately, once he got arrested, this school that found out about it, and they said, fire him, erase everything you have on him on that radio station, everything.
Yep.
Because we do not want to be associated with somebody.
That seems a little bit more to the extreme, and that seems like the right thing to do. I'm talking about a kid that's made an anthrax scare at school.
Yeah, he made a joke. Yeah,
a joke. I'm not talking about somebody doing something really fucked up.
Really did it.
I'm not saying what he did wasn't messed up, but that seems a little bit like he deserved, and that's exactly what they should do. Not associate themselves with somebody who does that. But I think there's. No, but it was just what happened during Halloween. I remember, I'll never forget it because I was like, I cannot believe you did this, you retard. Like it was like the biggest thing going on in the news at the time. They thought that the president got sent anthrax at the time, so I was like, you thought that was a good idea to do that on Halloween? He's like, yeah, I did. I thought it was funny. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They were actually considered changing their name because of the anthrax scare.
Really?
And they said something like a New York cop walked up to him and goes, "Man, you've been around longer than this shit. You're better than that." You don't change your name.
Uh-huh.
And they kind of got inspiration, so then they would start wearing jumpsuits on their stage. If you put them, the band members line them up together, it says we're not changing our name.
That's pretty cool.
And everybody was like happy and stuff like that. Even all the New York firefighters, they had a concert for them, whatever. They're all like, yeah, fuck yeah. Don't change your name.
Are they still around?
Yeah, they're still around.
How old are they? In the 50s?
They should be close to 60s. Like I said, they started around the talking.
Okay.
When they first started.
That makes sense.
That's how you go. That's cool.
Yeah, so I guess that's how, to me, I've seen Halloween evolve. I mean, there's other things, obviously, like I'm saying, like the movies and shows, like are not really catered towards Halloween anymore. Like now, it's going to be more towards streaming services and stuff. But like even right now, I haven't seen any really movies come out that have really seemed like, hey, I can't wait to see this on Halloween. Like,
I was just like, oh, not like you used to be like, ooh, great, that's Halloween. Yes.
Like another Halloween movie that hasn't been done before. I think we'll always go back to what we'll always say is like the original idea of Halloween movies have kind of died. Yeah. Like I think everything has been done and nobody can come up with some new creative idea or we'll take a chance on it. I think
that's the cuss word of the decade.
I mean, I heard the Amityville Horror music playing the other day on something, and I was like, oh, cool, it's a new movie coming out. It's like, oh no, it's not. It's Amityville Horror Space 2. I know. That's why I said it.
My horror page, we mentioned there's 17 different Amityville horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
And like one, I think that's like part 3 or 4. One of them is an evil lamp
who
gets people to kill people.
Another
one is a clock.
What I want to know is, always people talk about it, is it really based on true stuff that's happened, or is it just made up things that have happened?
Most of it's made up.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it, there actually was a guy who possessed and actually killed his family in the 70s. But they don't know if he was mental or anything like that. They locked that up. And he says it was some kind of demon or whatever talked to him. If you watch the movies, it's the first one. It's like the house is the bad.
Right, the house is the bad entity, and everybody. Yeah, okay, I get that.
The second one is a boy that lives there. Tries to kill his family, whatever. So Hollywood glamorized it so much, but it's based. When they say based on a true story, you can have one thing that is true that they put in a movie.
Yeah, I think the
only
movie
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you got cannibals. That's it.
Yeah.
Everything else is made up.
Yep. I think the only thing that's really true I've seen on all is The Exorcist, the kind of like the original one that's kind of based on the one that's in St. Louis, where they closed down that whole hallway and wing. People don't really know this, even in St. Louis. If you know this, it's like the hospital that happened, and after that happened, that whole hospital wing and the whole floor got closed off. No one was allowed back on the floor. The elevator actually took the button out, skipped it. You couldn't go to that floor. They took out the stairs, the access to it, because they were so afraid that would happen to someone again.
You can actually go to the house he lived in too.
Oh, this on display now or something? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. So going back to Halloween topics, I got a couple other good ones. This one's a good one. I like this one a lot. I think this kind of sticks to some of our roots for the podcast. Is Halloween candies that come and gone. I know this is going to be very hard because it's something you can think about it off the cuff. I'm sure they'll come to your head, but I wrote down some because I couldn't remember a lot of these. But now after looking at them, I'm like, holy shit, I remember these candies. So I'll go down and see if you remember some that's on the list. Garbage candy. So people that don't know, garbage candy was a garbage can with candy inside of it. It was like green, I think there were, and then like inside of them had green or yellow. I remember in like the 90s, I got a couple when I was a kid. I always just thought it was a toy. I didn't think it was really candy, and I thought it was just like a candy toy. Kissables, Hershey Kissables. Oh, God. Do you remember those?
They don't have them?
Nope, those are gone. Shit. Those are no longer a thing. Candy corn Oreos. I know, it's so gross. I don't know people that love candy corn, but I'm just telling you, it was such a Halloween thing. How about the candy cane or candy corn dots? Those are really big in the 90s and the 80s. This is a big one. Everybody's remember this one that listens to our podcast out of our 5 listeners. Butterfinger BBs.
Oh, miss Butterfinger.
God, weren't those fucking good? I don't ever look at what would make those go away. Butterfingers are such still an iconic candy bar.
Butterfingers is exact. I mean, a lot of times if you get
Was it too close to M&M's?
No, they were bigger than M&M's.
I think you got a mix. You got big and small ones in your
Yeah.
hand. It would just melt in your hand. I remember doing that and licking my hand all the time. Now you'll remember this because this is funny because it's off a TV show or a movie. Clark bars. I know. No, actually, no, they don't. They're gone. They said they don't exist anymore.
Go back to these real quick. I mean, a lot of times when you have major candies like Butterfinger, Snickers, whatever, if you do a spin off of it,
Mm-hmm.
it usually changes the recipe. But no, Butterfinger BBs work exactly still Butterfingers.
Yeah, they're just small little BBs.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can get like Snickers and they won't taste the same as the regular one.
That's right.
Stuff like that. It's like, you know.
I thought that was cool. I thought that was something that's cool. Yeah, the Clark bar. Take your Clark bars and get out of here. That's off of Hocus Pocus, actually, if you didn't know that. You know, in the movie where the three witches go to a house, they think they see the devil, and it's some guy just dressed up as the devil, and he goes in, and the wife doesn't like the fact that these three women are in their house or whatever, and she's getting mad, like, who are these women? Like, you know, he's like, she thought they were dressing up, but they're actually, you know, the sisters that they called back, and they're like, this guy's not the devil, he's just some old man or whatever, and he's like, all right. She calls them like tarts or something. She's like, time to take your Clark bars and get out of here. I don't know why the fuck I remember that, but I always remember, I'm like, what the fuck's a Clark bar? So now that I hear this, it makes sense. I think it was like in the 80s that was really popular.
Beetlejuice, when he caught the fly, he tried to catch it with a Zagnut. I've never heard it was Zagnut when I first saw that.
Yeah.
And then after like I was high school or something, they go, that's a Beetlejuice candy. I thought that shit was fake.
Zagnuts?
Yeah, Zagnut.
You know, that's coming back next year.
Yeah,
Beetlejuice 2 is coming.
Yep.
Can't wait to see that. But why they waited so long to fucking do it is ridiculous.
Because of striking shit.
Not even a strike, no. I mean, like, since Beetlejuice's obsession, that was, side note, anybody cares, that was my favorite movie when I was a little kid. Like, I watched Beetlejuice probably once a day, every day for like 2 years. My mom say 3 years. I used to put it on all the time, and I called it BB Juice. Weird, I know. Do you remember this one? Bubble Jug. It was bubble gum in a jug or whatever, and they used to hand out candy.
Like a little jerry can or whatever.
Yep. Ouch. That was bubble gum. Remember the bubble gum that had different candies in it? It looked like it was kind of like
Band-Aid.
Like a Band-Aid. Ouch. Yeah, it was called Ouch. I remember getting them when I was a kid. I think they might still be around. I think those are still around. I don't know if they had like certain ones that were dedicated during Halloween, but I'm almost positive I've seen those. And they come in the metal cans. You flip it open or whatever. Yeah, those are cool.
There actually is a store in Ohio called B.A. Sweeties.
Mm-hmm.
They have old candy like shit like that you can hardly find. Rare candy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Sam's store kind of store.
Mm-hmm.
Like that huge.
Weird.
You can buy the shit in bulk. I bought a Simpsons energy drink. It's a Flaming Moe's.
Mm-hmm.
You can only find it during when the movie came out in 2003.
Really?
So I got a Duff beer can, or it's a soda or energy drink, something like that you can only buy at certain times of the year.
You just keep it for collected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it on my shit over there. But still, they have a lot of stuff like that, like Big League Chew.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy it in bulk instead of little pouch that it came in. You can buy a fucking bucket of it.
That's cool. Big League Chew.
They have so much.
That was such a big thing I used to eat as a kid. I used to thought it was cool thing.
I loved it. I loved it when it came out with the grape flavor.
I remember when I was a kid, I just tried to put as much as I can in my mouth. My jaw would start hurting from chewing it so much.
Oh, yeah.
Hershey Kisses candy corn.
Ew.
Right?
I wouldn't even know.
I mean, what is with the candy corn obsession? I don't understand it. I'll never get it. It's just like the Peeps during Easter. They have an obsession with Peeps. They got obsession with candy corn. How about the Hershey Kisses s'mores? Like the bars. They had s'more bars. Apparently, it was a big thing back in the day. We probably never got it as much, but I guess these are always the candies that people, they try to do it theme for Halloween, and they do it for a couple years, and it fails, and they get rid of them. Cookies and cream Twix.
Yes.
You remember those?
Yes. They have those every once in a while.
Okay. I remember those too. How about crispy M&M? You remember those?
It's like a Nestle Crunch.
Yeah, man. So is that ping the nostalgia a little bit hitting those?
Yeah, you're hitting those.
This is a big one. When I was a kid, I used to do during Halloween. But I used to do these during like not just during Halloween, string thing. It was like Twizzlers, but before Twizzlers had the strings together, you twist them. These are pull and peel strings. It was called string thing. When we were kids.
They have different, not the actual brand of string things, but they do have.
It would come on a piece of cardboard, and you would just peel it off the cardboard. Jen gets those all the time. But yeah, string thing was a big thing where kids don't have anymore. Astro Pops. It was kind of like it was kind of like a sucker, but it was like in the form of like a cylinder or cone or something, and used to have like 3 different types of like red, yellow, blue or something on it. Kind of like an Astro ice cream.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember recall, but I remember like Bomb Pops. Remember Bomb Pops?
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
It's kind of like what it was, but it was in a sucker form, I think.
Okay. I got one for you.
I don't. Go ahead. Certs,
The
dude.
mints.
Oh shit.
Continued like almost 10 years ago or something like that.
So I remember, dude. I loved Certs when I was a kid. That's it.
Dude, they were the best. It wasn't allowed to have them at school, so we tried to have them by our teeth over their teeth.
Now this, someone said they used to get this handout. This is a weird thing that people used to hand out during Halloween. I remember getting these, the little mini Dunkaroos. I remember getting those for like my snack packs or like whatever, and like lunches, whatever. With Dunkaroos, we used to get all the time. I know that's a discontinued one. I think they brought Dunkaroos back. I think I heard someone saying they brought those back. I mean, all it was the icing.
Here, I got something for you.
Okay.
Clark bars discontinued in 2018 because they went out of business, but now they're available as Clark cups.
Oh, so they got rebranded and bought out.
Yes.
Okay.
But they are still around.
What about this one? This was a big one, apparently in the 90s. Nestle Wonder Balls.
Yes, they're just like the Nestle Crunches.
Yes.
Now they were the BB, Butterfinger BBs, basically.
Okay.
Here's one for Alan. It's your opinion on it. You can try it or not. You like Dr. Pepper?
Yeah.
You like gum?
Yeah.
How would Dr. Pepper gum?
No. Hell no, dude. I got a friend I know that's obsessed with Dr. Pepper, and that's all he drinks. And he like posts about it like all the time, like it's like a drug to him. But I could see that someone actually liking that.
Here's one. Okay, you know the regular size bars.
Mm-hmm.
You know the bite size bars.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anything about fun size bars?
I remember seeing them say fun size on them.
They are basically the bite size, but half. They no longer have Butterfinger, Baby Ruth, or Three Musketeers.
I didn't know that.
Only Snickers. They don't show it on here. It just says only Snickers.
I do know about fun size, though. I mean, because that was something that was only promoted during Halloween, I think.
Yeah.
At the time when that used to be a big thing.
That's the kind of thing you find in Grandma's candy dish. So the hard candy you find in that.
Yeah. There you go. Those are all the ones I remember and had. I mean, obviously they used to give out like Smarties, but that's still a thing that used to be a big thing during Halloween, and like, you know, sweet tarts and stuff. But that are so I used to love sweet tarts when I was a kid. The little pixie fun dip like things they used to give out too.
With the sticks.
Yeah,
sticks. They don't make them fun dip.
Fun dip.
They don't make those anymore.
Fun dip. Yep. God, it was crack in a bottle.
Fucking Aldi used to have those during like things at Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
They would have the red cherry whatever fun dip.
Mm-hmm. I used to love it too.
That store I was thinking about has a 3 foot long pixie stick.
Mm-hmm.
Like crack in a tube.
Mm-hmm.
Couple other ones for you.
Okay.
See if you like it or not.
All right.
You said you like gum.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like Gatorade gum?
I've heard it. You know, I remember hearing about Gatorade gum when I was a kid. Yes. I think like athletes used to promote it, like Gatorade gum or something. Like I remember seeing a commercial with someone promoting it, but I don't know if I actually like it.
I'm not sure if I would either. I mean, the stuff alone is, weird tasting.
Mm-hmm.
But then the candy flavor or gum flavor, I don't know. Huh? They don't make M&M almonds anymore.
So is that a Halloween candy, or is that considered one?
Yeah, that was the one.
Okay. I can't remember anything else, to be honest, with the candies. But those are like the ones that I found the most, that were like the most popular ones. They said that they used to be during Halloween. I'm sure there's a fucking shit ton of them that just I can't remember. But those are ones I remember a lot from our childhood.
You remember the O'Henry bar?
No.
It's kind of peanut buttery, kind of almost like a Mr. Blue bar in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Discontinued.
Weird.
Payday gone.
I knew Paydays were gone.
PB Max gone.
I remember the name PB Max. I never remember getting
peanut butter, kind of like a nougat-y kind of big crunch kind of weird thing.
Like a crunch bar with peanut butter?
Kind of, yeah. Raisinets?
I do remember Raisinets. Gone. Okay.
7-Up candy bars.
7-Up. I remember, they used to give out these two once in a while. I remember, we brought this up at our last podcast, but the Candy Rocks, something about to do with Candy Rocks.
Yeah, Pop Rocks.
Pop
No, they
Rocks?
still make those.
Those still make those?
They actually, weirdly enough, okay, you know those are like 99% sugar.
Hmm.
They have sugar-free Pop Rocks.
Oh, they do
My
now?
wife used to buy for me all the
Well, I
time.
remember, Jolly Ranchers were really big when we were kids too, and
Yes.
obviously Jolly Ranchers are still around. But I remember
Yeah.
them getting out actual hard candy on a stick, or like
Yep.
Candy Rock, or
Yes.
whatever. I know you can still get those, but
Yeah.
I remember people handing those out now. It's just a little weird.
They candy store.
Hmm.
How about 7-Up candy bar?
Yikes, that sounds awful.
It's still around, but it's called Sky Bar now.
That doesn't sound good at
Yeah, I'm
all.
not sure if I want to try that.
No.
A Skittles smoothie.
You know what? They said there were Skittles, something. I remember reading something. There was a type of Skittles during Halloween that was only around like Halloween.
Yeah, that was the zombie one.
Zombie ones?
Yeah, it's basically 1 out of every 5 tastes like shit. It's got some kind of weird gooey stuff in it. It just makes you like, ugh.
Why the hell would you want to try that?
It's like that. What candy was that? The new.
It's like getting a mystery candy.
Yeah, basically, but jelly beans.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever the big jelly company is, they have nasty flavored ones now. They actually have a game where you buy a box of them.
I do know that.
And some of them are like nasty, like popcorn.
Well,
or
I
oil.
think they got that from Harry Potter because there's a time in when they're in their house in Gryffindor and they're all sitting around as boys and they're like, which flavor did you get? And some of them would get like, did you get earwax or whatever? Tasting one, like, oh, earwax or whatever. And like they were fine with it. It was like gross or whatever. It's like, okay, like there must be playing a game or they're doing one where they did like if you ate a certain one, like you could, roar like a lion or whatever, steam would come out of your ears or whatever. Yeah.
This one, I'm going to end it with this one. Did you know that what they discontinued this? Remember the 5 packs of gum, like Wrigley's gum?
Mm-hmm.
They don't make those anymore.
Really?
Yes. They're like 25 or 30.
Uh-huh.
They make 5-pack anymore.
Well, something now I'm thinking about now that I used to get as a kid in Halloween. Can you talk about gum? Was Bazooka Joe? There's
the Hubba Bubba and the other
the Bazooka Joe. I liked it because you flip it around the cartoon with me on there, right? That was a cool thing. And you used to get a pack of them, and you get like 40 or 50 Bazooka Joes in there. I don't think they'll give those out during Halloween anymore.
I haven't seen them.
I don't know if they're around, but I would say that's something that just popped in my brain randomly. That was something I always remember getting a lot of.
Remember the cinnamon balls, the fireballs, or whatever.
Uh-huh.
The red balls that were.
The red balls that were super hot, and you'd suck on them, and they go like white, and all the cinnamon. Yeah. I would always spit them out after that.
Lose their flavor.
Yeah, lose their flavor.
Remember the gobstoppers?
Mm-hmm.
Those were the you can actually get like baseball size ones.
I do remember seeing this as a kid is when you buy a variety pack of candy, and you'd always get like the bubble yum, and like you'd always get like the bubble gum in there, whatever you throw in there, and then we'd always get what's called like the little suckers, the little drummy suckers, what do they call them? Dum-dums. Yeah, we get dum-dums. Those are still around. Yeah. So you get that and a couple other things. I always remember having those at the end in my Halloween ball. Because we get all the chocolate, and then that's all we have left over. Sweet tarts, the dum-dums, and the bubble gum. So I always eat those. I always remember having bubble yum when I was a kid. I always remember those Whopper thing.
That was Reese's, Snickers, Butterfinger, and M&M's were the first thing gone because I love those the most.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, I took my time eating it.
That's why people hate Halloween because they're like, in the month of Halloween, I gain 15, 20 pounds eating candy, which is probably not really true, but you gain 5 pounds, maybe 10 if you really eat that much damn candy. But
go trick or treat and get diabetes.
Yeah.
That was great.
It was a good time. I mean, I brought that up because what's something that's really important. Halloween candy is one of the most important things about it. So it's like it's weird. Like what's popular now? It's the same shit that we were kids. Like nothing's changed. Like Reese's, like you're saying, Reese's are like the most popular thing, and they always have like 15. And like now they're like Reese's bats. I think are really cool. I like how they theme it. They do bats. They do Christmas trees. They do the eggs, and they're all fucking great.
Right. And also, Christmas time. I'm not sure they have for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
They have the big yard. Snickers or Kit Kat, where the 3 foot.
Oh yeah. They used to do those, the giant ones or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do that either. I know they do the big Reese's eggs. You can get like the giant ones, like the size of like a book. You can get. I remember getting one for my son this year, and we ate it. He got mad if we took a bite of it, but after a while, he's like, "Here you go. You can have some of it too."
I know diabetes.
Yeah, I want diabetes. So I guess we'll end that on the Halloween candy, but that was a topic I wanted to talk about because we've never brought that up on any of our Halloween stuff before. Now, one of our last topics, got a couple more here, but for the October podcast and stuff, what are some pop culture costumes that have come and gone? And I want to talk about ones that were really popular when we were kids to even to like today, like 2023. What do you think is popular? Or what do you know that's popular? Um, I'll talk about some because I can give you a second to think about it. Ones that have been popular since we've been kids that haven't stopped being popular, I can say right away as a boy, is obviously Batman and Superman. And I'm sorry, but sorry, not Superman, Batman and Spider Man are like the ones that are just always going to be around because of what they are and what kids like, because that's like something they're getting introduced to as a kid. Um, Also for girls is Barbie. You know, a lot of people don't think Barbie's so popular. Barbie's very popular, not just with the movie coming out this year and being awesome and blowing up for everybody, and this resurgence of Barbies for women and gay men. I guess I don't know, but I think it's those are something that will stand the test of time. There'll always be a Halloween costume for those kids. I mean, my kid last year was Spider Man. 2 years in a row, he loves Spider Man. He still wants Spider Man. I think he's got 3 Spider Man costumes, and he wears them around the house and pretends to be Spider Man all the time. Yeah, and he likes to be the Miles Morales one. He likes to be the regular one. Like he thinks it's cool. You know, I think it's a cool thing that they always be around. That it's always going to be a pop culture one for even kids or even adults. You see, adult men still wearing costumes or women. So, what about you? You know any ones that stood the test of time?
I think the normal one that I see every year, there's always a vampire, some kind of character.
Oh yeah, that's it. Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes for the older kids, you see like Freddy and Michael, something like that. There's basically any popular horror movie at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year it was Eddie, or the last couple of years it's been Eddie from Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
This year's Hocus Pocus, even Beetlejuice, because people are so hyped up about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's every year it changes, but at the same time you still see, like I said,
the original ones. I wrote down some pretty cool ones that I've read, like some things that have stood the test of time. There's always going to be like a resurgence of it. Like you're saying, like the normal ones. You're going to see Dracula. You're going to see Frankenstein. You're going to see people dress up as ghosts. Bums and almost. You're going to see people dress up as skeletons, and like the guys have how the Valve where they actually wear skeleton costumes, and now they wear like the skeleton costume with the glow, the dark stick things on when they walk. It looks like, isn't that cool? And you got the cool like a mask that glows up with their eyes, and they have like the different. You can change it. And then now they have like the ones where they've always been popular, like. They always show like a good-looking guy and a girl like paint their face as like a fucking skeleton. Like people that are really good at face painting that do that kind of stuff. Those are cool. Like I think those are different. I think it's funny that you bring up like like what's like popular now, like Eddie Munson and stuff like Stranger Things. Like who knew? Finally, they'd come up with something original idea for like a Halloween type movie, and it would stick with people that much. Right. Something was captured in the '80s or whatever, and like Eddie's big one because he was a cool character.
Well, it's weird because people. Give people with heavy metal bad raps.
Mm-hmm.
They think they worship Satan and stuff like that. But then they see something like Stranger Things, and it's like, this guy's fucking cool. Like, metalheads have always been like that.
He's just cool. He liked metal. He was a musician. Yeah, he smoked weed, but like, who cares?
He played guitar. He loves Metallica. What the fuck?
There's a weird stereotype. The same way people used to stereotype guys that played video games that lived in their mom and dad's basement or whatever. The same way they stereotyped metalheads like you growing up, where it was like you worship the devil and all this other stuff. And then it's like in Detroit Rock City, the movie. If you remember that, they captured like his mom's like, oh my god, Kiss, like
yeah.
Come on, dude. She's sitting there smoking death sticks and fucking, back in the 70s or 80s when it was supposed to be going on, right? When it was supposed to take place. You can just tell that she was like, she just labeled anything that she didn't like with the devil, Satan, whatever. And it's like, that's probably exactly what happened. Burning, books and stuff, going crazy. Right, so I think that's funny you bring that up, but pop culture ones that have come and gone, I think too are funny. Is like Ninja Turtles. When Ninja Turtles were huge when I was a kid, and now there's a resurgence of them coming back, and you see kids starting to be Ninja Turtles now, especially because I think they're doing a movie again or something about it, right? So you'll see those come back out. Obviously, Power Rangers has been a big thing since we were kids. They've come back. They've done it 400 times. Like ninjas are always, that's a good one. I didn't think about the ninjas. I know kids always dress up like army guys, like G.I. Joes were huge when we were a kid. I think they're trying to bring G.I. Joe back. I haven't seen them in stores at all, but
I've seen classic toy, like some of the vehicles remade,
Hmm.
like the Transformers, they revamp them stuff like that. I've seen a bunch of those, but not the actual like figures like they used to be.
I remember when I was a kid, I had a GI Joe outfit. I had the army thing with the fake grenade and like the fake stuff that would clip
Little
on me,
gun, yeah.
and the gun. I had the hat and everything, and I had my boots on and everything. And I loved my GI Joe outfit. I had a GI Joe like army Power Wheels when I was really into it. That's how much I liked GI Joe when I was a kid. Like that's how big that was, and it's like it's weird to see like that's not even around anymore. Maybe it'll come back. Everything comes back once in a while. Um,
Might be notes on
mhm.
it. Go ahead.
No, I'm okay. So I'm gonna actually start going through my list. So like this is me just randomly remembering stuff. But in the last 2 years, I just gathered like stuff that was really popular. Um, COVID-19 mask shirts and stuff like that. People were wearing. I thought that, and some people are like, well, those are just people wearing COVID-19 masks out just because they're afraid of getting sick outside in the air. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I think it's both. I think some people are really scared, and I think a lot of people are just making fun of COVID-19, right? I just think it's part of the costume or whatever, and they wear like funny shirts or whatever.
I joked to my nurse sometimes. I
Mhm,
was gonna wear the mask,
mhm,
kind of like a hospital gown, and
mhm,
like
mhm. There you go. Say you have a shirt that says booster number 5 or something like that.
Little government and watch it
Yeah, you can put your number, your name, your number
be.
booster on the back, like a sports shirt, like you're part of a team.
Right.
Obviously, this will always be one. President ones. Every year's been a one. Like so, obviously, Trump and Biden are going to be funny ones or whatever on it. But over the years, there's always been presidents.
Nixon,
They
Kennedy.
one that's popular, obviously, from Point Break. It's the dead president. So people always like to dress up like dead presidents, and they say they're ex presidents or dead presidents. So I think that was always cool. I mean, I wouldn't do justice nowadays, but Harry Potter is going to be obviously my son's going to be, but that's always it's going to be around for all age groups. You see people dressing up in it, and you see like girls wearing like little hot skirts and stuff and dressing up like I like those ones. Yeah, remember the one where what's her name? She's on Saturday Night Live, and Lindsay Lohan dresses up as one of the girls from Potter, Harry Potter, and she gets her tits sticking out.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, something's definitely changed.
Yeah.
Hermione, you've definitely changed. She's like, yep, something's definitely changed. And her tits are huge. That's awesome. That's a Saturday Night Live I missed, stuff like that. Now, this one I actually found out from watching a Netflix documentary. It was called, it was about Pepsi, about the guy that wanted the carrier jet. I told you that, right?
Yeah.
You know the whole story?
Yeah.
Okay. So they talked about like their most popular iconic thing from Pepsi was during Halloween. What do you think it was? If you can, that's one of them, but not the most popular one. Nope. It was a girl that was on an advertised Pepsi back in the '90s when they had the wars going on between Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Who was the girl that used to be on there and every woman wanted to be like in the '90s? Super hot. I mean, she's still hot today. Cindy Crawford. So the reason I brought this up is they do every year on Halloween. There are so many women that dress up like Cindy Crawford in that iconic commercial with the white shirt on, her mole, her beauty mark, or whatever, and like the way she wore her outfit, like in that '90s like theme. Girls dress up like that, and they'll post on Facebook or Instagram, and they'll tag Cindy Crawford and tag Pepsi in it, and she like likes it because she loves that girls do it. So it's like a contest, and they do it Pepsi and do it on there, like just to dress up on there. So that's something that stood the test of time, and I'm like, I didn't know that, had no idea, but I think that's cool to look out for like that this year on Instagram or even Twitter or TikTok with all you Gen Z Zoomer queers. Here's gonna be here's ones I've seen. Toxers? Toxsuckers? Nice. I'll call that to somebody I know. I'll probably go listen to this. Here's some pop culture ones I've seen that are going to be this year. We already talked about. Obviously, if you didn't know this, Barbie's going to be one. Maverick from Top Gun will be one. So Top Gun stuff was going to be one for how big it was. Wednesday Addams is going to be one, which will be really big. Obviously, Eddie Munson is still like the number one they've said on there. I didn't get this one at all, but apparently it's going to be popular this year is Laurie Strode. I don't know why, but they said for like our generation of older people that want to dress up like her for some reason because I guess, I don't know, but they said Laurie Strode was supposed to be a popular one for 2023. 11, obviously. Anything from Stranger Things, I think it's just going to be popular. Let's put that in there. Yellowstone, your favorite show. Ted Lasso. I guess people love Ted Lasso. I said the Cindy Crawford one. You'll know this one, obviously. Everybody will. Fucking Taylor Swift will be a big one, right?
Why?
I don't know, but
Tay doesn't need a fucking Halloween.
she doesn't. But I think the girls like to dress up with her and think, she's idolized, dude. She's the number one idolized woman in the world. The Rock. No, I'm just joking.
Because people were Vin Diesel.
Oprah. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
You still haven't said the one.
Well, this is one that's becoming popular now. Is again from our eras. People are dressing up like the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC or something. That's really, I think it's overdone, but it's been around forever. People doing boy bands. Boy bands have kind of died off. They're not like a thing anymore, right? Finger bang. We do finger bang. I like that one. I like that one. Finger banging in the night. Yeah, those are the ones I listed down, and obviously I was going to do some ones off the cuff that I remember. But what are some ones that you've done there?
I guess one that you've missed. I'm surprised you missed it.
The Beatles?
No, bigger than
that.
Star Wars. Dude.
Star Wars? Oh yeah, I didn't think about Star Wars.
Everything Star Wars. Everything Star Wars. All the shows and movies that are coming out. Everybody wants to be Osha. Whatever her name is. I don't watch that show. I don't watch that. People want to be the Mandalorian. People want to be, Solo and Yoda.
It's Ahsoka.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah. Ashbagash. Ashbagash from Star Wars.
Yeah. That kind of. You totally forgot about that.
I didn't think about Star Wars. My son wants a lightsaber, so that makes sense. He wants me to get him one too. Dude, he's got every kind of stick and thing to beat kids with, whatever. So he just wants a lightsaber.
That's not good.
I know.
He's got a scream knife too.
He does have a scream knife. He got in trouble with that. Yeah, it's kind of funny, like how kids get in trouble with that kind of stuff, and the dad gets blamed for it all.
Mom, nope.
Yeah, and like my wife was like, "You gotta let him stop playing Call of Duty Zombies and playing Counter Strike. Like all this stuff's like warping his brain." It's like, have you looked? I was like, have you looked on TV and what the kids watch nowadays? I think he's okay. Yeah. I was gonna say that's something that's going to be obviously a costume. Zombies, like everybody, zombies are always done. That's something that's been overdone and overblown. I think they've ruined this. I think Walking Dead and the zombie era of TV shows are done.
Back in the 80s, it was cool because you hit Dawn of the Dead. Come out. That's when it was cool because people didn't really watch.
Well, I'll tell you this: the new movie that came out, and I think Brandon talked about this too. You guys don't know Brandon; he's one of our friends that were on the podcast for. He brought up like what is it? Was it Dawn of the Dead, the new one that came out too?
There's a newer one.
What was just came out? Evil Dead 2 or something just came out.
Yeah, Even Rise.
Was that the one that just came out like earlier? No, there was one that just came out. He told me he just hated the movie, and turned it off, and I'm like, maybe it was that. I can't remember, but something he just watched. And he told me, he's like, "Have you watched this movie?" And I was like, "No," but he's like, "Dude, I watched it." And he's like, "I had to turn it off." He's like, "I was really pissed off that they made this movie and redid it and they fucked it all up." And I was like, "Yeah, I'll have to look it up." I thought that's what it was, but yeah, I'll let you know.
There is one with
Batista. It might have been that one. That's what I'm saying. Like there's so many non-original ideas nowadays with movies. It doesn't surprise me.
What's the original-ish idea? They had a couple of original things in it, but the rest of it is like.
Obviously, you mentioned the original ones with Halloween. All the slashers films will always be popular, right? With kids, yeah. I don't know. I've never seen anybody dressed up like For the Hills Have Eyes or anything weird like that, but
no, I don't think they should.
No, I don't think so either. I'm trying to think of any other costumes that would really stand out.
Monkeys, of course. Witches,
there's always witches. Yeah, there's Witches Night Out. They have one in like Forstell or something where all the girls dress up with witches and go out and get wine and drunk or whatever and do witch shit. So that don't surprise me when she probably has been. My wife's been before too. I think it's like it's a reason to go out and shop, eat food, and drink. Just like anything else. They go there because it's kind of like a farmer's market type thing, or not a farmer's market, where they can buy like homemade like knick-knack stuff for Cracker Barrel type shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. What's another thing? A Funko one.
Walk around with a big head or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you put your clothes you want on.
I'm trying to think. There were some other ones that brought up that were obviously there's only the Ghost, right? People are always gonna be ghosts and dressing up like that. Those girls would be like little princesses or something.
Raptors.
Velociraptors?
Yeah, people with
Oh, in the
velociraptors.
fake costumes,
Yeah.
they had like the plastic, you can see
Yeah.
them in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just thought about that now. What's really popular costumes is like the ones that dress up like the costumes holding them.
Yeah.
You know, they're running with
Yeah,
something
like
like
an alien or something like that.
the alien holding them or something.
I remember when this first came out, those were cool as fuck. Now those are kind of overdone. Some of the
I
ones I thought was really cool, very creative, and very thoughtful. They're on Target. They have wheelchair costumes that you could add stuff to your wheelchair so it goes part of your costume.
That's pretty
So
cool.
basically, a handicap Halloween costume. Target has those. Well, I thought that was very thoughtful, very cool because I've never seen that before.
Mhm.
I always see someone at home making custom made ones. I've seen like a tank and stuff like that. But in Professor X, of course. But saw that and I was like, dude, that's fucking cool. They even have like the bigger sizes of the handicap costumes too. And some of them are like, it's funny because they're the same price as the small kids ones, but they're big, way much bigger, and some of them like they had like a what do you call that? Fuck. Basically, it's the same costume as a normal kids, but they add more stuff to it, which is really cool.
You told me that like a year ago that people are starting like cater costumes around um yeah, handicap kids. Like I think it's a good idea. Like there's kids that want to do this crap too, right?
Yeah. Like they said, if the kid has a blue pumpkin, that means he or she is autistic. You should look out for that, and don't be careful when you talk to them. Talk to their parents first before you give them candy or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had all that censored over them and stuff like that.
Yeah,
which I thought was kind of cool too. I know Target and Walmart has it. I don't know who else does.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, look out for blue pumpkins because of that.
I didn't know that. It's cool. I mean, it's one of those things I didn't. You just it's out of sight, out of mind type of thing.
And nobody tells you. There's no rule book of things now. Now there's certain to be.
Yeah. So I think I'm trying to think if there's any other costumes. I think obviously there's millions of costumes out there, right? We can name forever. I think those are ones that always stood out to me as a kid. I mean, I was a homeless person one time. I just dressed up really like Raggedy Ann type thing when I was like, I'm a homeless person, whatever, because I was like lazy. I didn't feel like dressing up and doing stuff. And there was times where I would make multiple costumes, so I could go out multiple times and trick or treat to those same houses, and kids wouldn't know that.
Did you carry your two pillowcases? You filled one after you left that house.
Yep.
So it looks like you just started.
Yep. We would do that, or I would get my pillowcase almost full, and then have my mom come pick it up for us, and I would go out with the second one and do the second run of it, just for a simple fact because we weren't done, and I wanted to have candy. Now that got to a point where I think I was doing that more between like 10 and 13, and like by the time 14 or 15 hit, I think I didn't do that as much. It's like, I'll just do one sack of candy because you would get to the candy, you would never eat it all, man.
Yeah, and then you start trading it away for other stuff, and you wouldn't even eat that.
I traded away, for I don't know, I don't remember what it was for.
There's a thing I read that actually, I'm going to say two things about this. I think I read that it said that for parents who are not sure that the kids are going to eat all their candy, every single day take one piece away and don't tell them. So that way it slowly goes away. And also, I was going to mention that the Jimmy Kimmel thing. You know what he does every year?
What's he do?
He used to do a thing where he had parents tell their kids they ate all their candy the very next day and send it into them to get their responses and the look on their faces. And half the time it's the kids crying. Sometimes it's like, "That's okay, mommy. I wanted you to have it anyway," or some cutesy shit. But a lot of times it's just kids busted down crying.
Dude, it's weird, but it's funny that they do that.
Because that's we all did it.
But I will tell you this: I do hate Jimmy Kimmel.
I used to love him a lot.
I think we've talked about that before.
Yeah,
now
he's too corporate. He's paid too much.
He was what's what I'm looking for? He's not just a shill, but he's bought and paid for now.
He's overpaid. Yeah,
he's overpaid, and honestly, someone brought this up. I was listening to Joe Rogan. He made a great point with like the writer's strike and talking about stuff because they talk about Bill Maher coming back or whatever, and they're making a big deal about it because he's like, I'm going to come back and do my show. But all the bits that writers wrote for me, he's like, I'm not doing those bits. So like until they come back, those things are sacred to those writers because that's why I wanted them on my show. But he's like, I'm not going to stop my show. I can still do my section without it. Whatever. If you watch Bill Maher or not, I don't give a fuck. I'm just talking about what was going on. But he brought up, he's like, has anybody missed late night TV comedy or like shows? I haven't given a fuck. No. I haven't given a fuck since Jay Leno and Letterman left. After that, it was like it was non-existent to me. So I'm not saying I was a huge advocate of it anyway. I was a young kid. It's like I really cared. I cared about Saturday Night Live, and like I think we talked about before, Saturday Night Live, the two comedians, the black guy and the white guy that write for each other for their little bit or whatever, they're saving it. They have to be the only people that actually get watching that show because
Weekend Update. Yeah,
the Weekend Update, exactly.
yeah, those guys are hilarious.
They're very funny, and I think it's funny because I haven't watched an actual Saturday Night Live besides those clips in probably I don't know maybe 2 years.
Yeah, I'm still watching the older ones. I got one I want to show you, and I always sent to you on Instagram. I'll show it to you when Mike's shirt off because he says some words they got away with in the 70s.
Yeah, I just find it weird that a show like that would die off. But I think it goes back to what we were saying before. The writing has just been so awful for these kind of shows that's why they've went downhill. But also now with the writer strike going on, I think it's one of those things that yeah, it happens. But I also think it's because they've lost their creativity with it. They've went so.
They have to rely on other people to write their shit.
Well, I think we'll talk about this, and then I'll go into my last topic about stuff. Was there's two things. One, they went away from trying to not offend everybody, so they went to people who were more open minded and being like diverse and like inclusive about dumb shit. When it's like this should be about comedy for one. There should be no line. We've talked about that before.
Mhm.
The writing rooms have changed, but also I think it's the simple fact that they do it for claps instead of laughs. Nobody can take, and I think you said it best. Nobody can take a joke anymore, right? So I think that has hurt them in the long run, and that's what they're known for, right? Even these late night TV show guys, it's like everybody liked Kimmel because he was funny, like and who was the other one? Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't my favorite guy, but anyway, but people liked him too because they thought he was funny, right? And he was likable. Now they're both douchebags, in my opinion, right? I think they've lost their credibility. And they've went full Hollywood is the way I'll say it, or Hollywood, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it just sucks. That's kind of stuff I do miss seeing. Like, even they did Halloween themed episodes. They don't do that shit anymore. I don't. And if they do, I guarantee it's nothing around what it used to be.
Yeah.
So, all right. So my last topic, which is not Halloween, but it kind of was. It was weird. It wasn't Halloween, but it was somebody who brought it up when I was listening to something on a Halloween podcast, right? And he talked about time and how fast it moves between a kid and an adult. So my topic was, does time move faster or slower as a kid or as an adult? It's kind of way you can look at it. And the way he thought about it was, when you're a child and you're a kid, time seems like days feel like forever. Days seem like weeks to kids, right? And as an adult, days seem like hours. And when you become an old person, like old, I'm talking like 70, 80, days and hours seem like minutes to him. And the reason he said that, and I think was, and everybody had a different perspective and different thing on it. I think the most obvious one is, and everybody will agree to disagree on this, was as you get older, you're busier. You have more things that are distracted. Like you're always doing something. You got this to do. You got work to do. You got responsibilities. You got things to take your kids to. If you don't have kids, your hobbies that you do. There's always something going on. And by the time you actually get to sit down and enjoy yourself, the whole day is over with, right? And you don't get to sit there and do it. When you're a kid, obviously you have no responsibilities. So like your perception of time and relevance of time is so much different. So like the way they did it was a scientific experiment. Was at our age in 30s, we'd say, I'm going to do a stopwatch, and you tell me when you think a minute goes by, and they do it to a kid, right? And a kid would say, okay, stop, and it might have been like a minute 30, and an adult would say a minute like 5. It was like a consistent, or like a minute 2 or something was an actual minute. And then an older person was even longer. It was like, or it was like in the middle. It was like a minute 15. So like your perception of time changes. So when you think a minute goes by, it's probably a lot longer than what it really is. Yeah. And they said that had something to do with your brain. But I think it's the obvious answer is it's how busy a person are. When you're a kid, why do we look back on our kid and like we really remember, like enjoy, like Halloween seemed like it was forever. It took forever to get here, or like Halloween Day was forever. It's because you're looking forward to do it and you don't have nothing else going on. And like when you have things going on, you don't give a shit as much because the time just flies by. It's like he explained it this way. It's like when you go do a hobby, like when we do like this podcast, we don't know that 2 hours went by, but because we're enjoying it and we're doing it, we're not looking at the time. But exactly. But when you're at a job, you're looking at the clock all the time, like, fuck, dude, it's only been half an hour. I've fucking been sitting here all fucking day, like that's the kind of stuff that he put in perspective. Where like when you're playing your favorite sport, 3 hours might have went by playing a sport when you're a kid or something. You didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
And nowadays, you look at the clock and you're like, holy shit, it's been half an hour. I've been cleaning the house or whatever you've been doing, right? I think that has something that speaks volume. And the only reason I brought it up is because he was bringing up about Halloween as a kid. He's like, man, I loved Halloween. Halloween took forever to go by. It was always like, it felt like it was like 24 hours long the entire day. He's like, now I blink and Halloween's over with. So I just thought that was interesting. I don't know. What do you think about it?
It is. I mean, if you think about it, he's way true. I mean, he's very, very, very truthful about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times, like if I hear a song for the first time, like when Metallica came out their new song last year, I was like, God damn, this song is so fucking long. How are they gonna play this on the radio? And I look at the time; it's 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? I was really into it, and it felt longer than it normally was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true what the guy said because when you're a kid, you have time to stop and smell the roses. You can chill, you can relax. You don't have 500 responsibilities or priorities you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
When you're older, you have all this shit you have to do. You have to make sure you put pants on in the morning. You got to make sure you go to work. You forget your glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
You forget your glasses. Did you leave the stove on when you left? Were your car keys? You have all this little minuscule
tasks
you have to do just to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get to work, you have all these other new tasks. And then sometimes you go back and try to remember the ones you just did. Like, where my keys at? Where's my phone at? That's why people have that little heart attack when they can't find their phone, if it's right in front of them. Or like me, everything I own pretty much is black. So if I put my phone over here, I'm like, oh, fuck my phone. I can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where people, your mind's so stuck on things, everything just flies on by.
Yep.
Except for when you're watching time.
Or when you're doing something you don't enjoy.
Yes.
Like if you go to for example, if you go to like a kid's birthday party that you don't want to be at, or a wedding, or a family function, you want to be around people. Like you're looking at the clock, you're counting the minutes. You're like, man, it's been 2 hours. I want to fucking go home. Like, well, why hasn't it been 4 hours?
Right.
There's times I think most people are guilty of this. Like you go to something and you're like, like that concert I went to. Like I try not to think about it. When I try not to think about something and try to just live in the moment, time flies by pretty quick.
Yeah, it's different.
Right. But if you're sitting there and like you're really not wanting to be somewhere, all you can think about is like, I can't wait for this to get over with. I can't wait. You're counting down the time.
The boredom.
He made a good point too at the end. He was like, why people like vacations always seem like they go by fast, like your PTO, like when you're time off, but you're from work and you go on vacation somewhere and the whole week flies by because you have no perception of time. Like you're not living in.
You don't have to worry about your work tasks.
Right. All you're worried about is just relaxing and enjoying yourself before you know what the whole day's over with. Right. Because you're enjoying yourself and things are going by. That's the difference. And he goes, that's the difference to the kid too. But when you're a kid, the same thing. You wake up, you go to school, you come home. He's like, what do you think kids love playing video games for? Because they can get 13 hours out of the day and they didn't realize that they're just sitting there playing a video game and enjoying themselves. He's like, me and you would look at it and be like, we just wasted 13 hours, if we had a busy day to do something.
Did that 13 hours?
But the reality is that you're not really wasting it, but they're living it up the best they can.
Honestly, I don't think kids waste time because they're living in the moment always.
Well, you know what he made a great example of? I didn't think about this until the end. I thought about this now, just bringing it up. Kids, when they're doing stuff, they're experiencing it for the first time. Yes. So it's like to them, everything is new, exciting, fun, and they're living in the moment, and it's great, and it seems like it's taken forever to do. It's like we've done this thing a million times. So like it's nothing new to us. It's not exciting. That's why when we do fun and new, exciting things, it seems like sometimes it might go by really fast, or if it's something you've done many times, it goes by super slow, right? It just depends on what you're doing. Right. I think that's the difference with a lot of stuff. And that's what children are different in that way with that kind of stuff. So like to them, going to the mall might seem like it was all day long, where other people, it could be like, I've been here for an hour. I'm ready to go home. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not new. It's nothing exciting to them. Right. You're sitting out outside the store getting in the massager chair.
Another guy next to you.
Yeah.
Same problem.
Yeah.
How long you been married?
But I just thought that was a cool topic. It was different. It was on a Halloween thing I was listening to, and the guy was just like, I look forward to this every year. And he's like, I just feel like every year Halloween goes by faster and faster. And he's like, my life goes by quicker and quicker. And he brought up another thing too. He's like, by the time you're 20, you only live like 1/6 of your life or whatever. I'm making up a number. He had like actual statistics with it. He's like, and as you get older, you've made up more time already. He's like, and the time seems to keep going quicker and quicker because you've already done everything. You've already experienced everything. You've lived your life. You're retired now. Like he's like, you,
15 minutes.
huh?
You had your 15 minutes.
Yeah, you're 15 minutes. Pretty much a great way to say it. So to me, I think it's true. I think time does move faster as an adult. Like before you know it, we're talking and having our fun podcast right now. 2 hours have went by. Can you believe it's already been 2 hours? Before you know it, this will be over with. My whole day will be gone, and it'll be Friday before you know it. And I'll be like, where did the week go? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe summer is already over with. I'm glad summer is over with.
Same here.
I'm glad fall's here. I think that's why I'm excited to start doing podcasts again, and I'm looking forward to Halloween, and I'm looking forward to Christmas and Thanksgiving. But I don't want to go so fast because I'm looking forward to it that Halloween's are here and gone. I want to enjoy the next 31 days of Halloween. I want to do the pumpkin carving. I want to do the shows that movies I don't get to watch all the time. Like I'm not gonna watch just Halloween. I'm gonna watch a lot of the Halloween movies that are coming out, even ones I've never seen before. Even Sleepaway Camp 5. I don't care. Which I did read that someone talked about. Actually, they were talking about bringing back another one. Did you read that?
Yeah.
I don't think they could do it. I mean, it will be progressive and fit the day of 2023 if they do girl dick stuff. But to me, it's just like I just think it's it's one of those movies you can't just redo. It's like just do something new. Do the new Sleepaway Camp, right? Like do something different. Put your own twist on it, right? Like make it something different than just yeah, exactly. Make it a jack off sword that comes out of the woods and kills somebody, something.
Dildo killer.
Yeah. Make it, Schizo, but with Patrick Duffy as a leg, something weird like that where, Schizo, but, yeah. They should have done that in a video game. They're actually coming out with another video game, so for South Park, if anybody likes South Park. No, they're gonna do another like a new iteration of it. I don't think it's gonna be a third one of like, they Fracture But Whole and they did Stick of Truth, which is awesome. They're both great games. I can't wait for the third one to come out. But that's another thing too. They don't make a lot of Halloween catered games. Someone brought that up.
It's only 1 day in the year. They have
they have like Resident Evil, and games like that, or like Left 4 Dead.
That you can download certain games.
What was the show that came out? Was it Left 4 Dead or what was the one that was really big, or the zombie show they were doing or whatever? Last of Us. Like that's a kind of like not Halloween, but you can kind of consider it like kind of a Halloween game, but like it's horror, exactly. Like Left 4 Dead is really cool. It's their zombie. It's like all these zombie survival games that are always really big for like that category. If you want to call it, like Doom was always really big. Like the new Doom that came out a couple years ago was fucking awesome. Probably one of the coolest games I've seen in a long time was like the horror genre of like blowing up like crazy, like aliens and stuff like that. So I don't know. I thought the topic was cool. I'm glad Halloween's almost here. Yeah. Hey, don't be taking all my words, bro. I mean, I guess we'll do this one. We'll do a final thoughts. I like doing a final thoughts. It's always our podcast. The tribute to Sam. He always brought up final thoughts in our podcast. Final thoughts. Is there anything that you are looking forward to really this year for, I guess, Halloween? Besides everything that we've talked about and these things that people think about, but is there anything you're looking forward that we haven't talked about? Mm-hmm. Or just things you're looking forward to this in the next, this fall Halloween-ish.
Mm-hmm. That's when I really want to see more kids out
Mm-hmm.
around. That to me is it's like full circle for me. I started like that, and I see other kids doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want.
I agree. I think you took the words right out of my mouth. I think that was the one thing I was for my final thoughts, and this whole podcast was kind of about. I mean, just think we maybe encapsulated Halloween in a nutshell for the last 30 years for us and other people. But I think what I want to see more is just I want to see not just Halloween being this thing that people look at and it's like only for children. I want to look at it as back to like when we were kids, like where it's celebrated by everybody, like you said. And I'd like to see more movies and shows catered around it. But in the big picture, I think I would just like to see more people celebrate it and enjoy it for what it is. And it doesn't have to be just this taboo thing that only children are allowed to do. It should be, like you said, for everybody. I don't know. I may have kind of just repeated myself there, but I'd like to see more children into it in the trick-or-treating. I'd like to see the spirit of Halloween being more of a mainstream thing and a pop culture thing than just people who are into it thing.
Me being optimistic. with every year, whenever right after usually the 4th of July, or even yeah, 4th of July, pretty much, Walmart and everybody puts out Christmas shit. Well, they've already had Halloween stuff out since the beginning of September, which I'm very hopeful for because they never really did until the end of September, early October. So I'm hopeful that with all this stuff that came out early, people are going to be more traditional, more trick treating, temper dress, stuff like that.
Well, being the dad that I am, and being Mister, like, I like going Home Depot and doing this stuff, and I like fixing up my house or whatever. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I like Tim Allen. Long story short of it is, this is the way I look at it. When I went to Home Depot the day after Memorial Day, they had all their Halloween shit out, and I texted one of my friends that listens to our podcast, and yeah, she said the same thing. She went to like Lowe's. I think Lowe's is their spot or something. She told me that the same thing, that it was out already, which is cool to see. Like, if you're gonna push stuff, at least push Halloween early, like you do Christmas. I think Christmas is the one that's pushed out more than anybody because I think that's the most celebrated holiday, I think, throughout the year. I hate to say it, but that's just, to me. Besides Thanksgiving, I mean, you don't really have to get. I mean, you have fall decorations and shit that people already do, but to me, I think that's the one that's the most pushed. So it's cool to see that stuff out, and how much Halloween stuff Home Depot's got into. Like, they have all the huge, like, exclusive, like, skeletons they have out there. And like I was going to tell you, I saw my neighbor down the street. I'll take a picture before I forget. He's got this giant flagpole in his yard, and he put like a giant Halloween one up there. And he's got like 6 or 7 of these giant skeletons in the yard, and he roped it off with Halloween lights, so kids or nobody can come there and touch it or whatever. And he puts it up, and then down the street, obviously, this guy does like the Halloween and Christmas like light shows. Like, he puts up the lights and does all the cool shit. Yeah, the grave and all this stuff. They're still doing it. And obviously, there's just one next to work that does all the blow ups. This guy's got like 60 blow ups in his front yard. He's an old guy, and he's got on top of his roof and everything else. He does Christmas ones and he does Halloween ones. And I think the cool thing he does now, and I think you brought this up before, the smart people are the people who can mix and match the stuff. Like, put the skeleton with the Christmas hat on and everything else to make it look like it's Christmas, but also Halloween themed. That's cool. And I know we brought this up before, but I'm going to bring it up again, just talk about it now. We've talked about it, I think, 2 years ago, or maybe a year ago, in our podcast on Halloween, that how, like, they have like the lights that are integrated into your house, and they use it for all stuff. Now there's companies actually going around, they're making it more affordable to sell them for people. They just put in their fascia board. And I got a friend I follow on Facebook, her and her wife, or him and his wife, sorry. Yeah, they do it all year long, and they, like, for Halloween, they'll have the lights on. They have them, and then just like when regular nights, they just have regular lights on it, and then they change the colors. And I think that's cool. I really want that for my house, so I don't have to change it for every holiday, and that can always be in the holiday spirit by doing it. So that's just something cool. But yeah, going back to our final thoughts, that's what I want for Halloween. I want people to enjoy it for what it is. I don't like to see people actually embrace it more. And, like you said, trick or treaters is one, but I think it's kids only get into it as much as their parents and people are into it. So, like,
kids celebrate it more than
they do. I think.
I'm saying that's what you want.
Yeah, you want the kids to celebrate more than anybody else, but I think it's the environment. I think schools have to be more promoted of it, because I think schools were really big of it when we were kids, like doing pumpkin things and Halloween things, like not contests, but like just making shit at school, like around Halloween, and like doing a costume thing at the school, like dress up as your favorite, Superman or whoever you want to go to school. I think we did that last year with Lincoln and Lila. That's the stuff I want. And I'll shut the fuck up because this isn't the podcast or whatever. This is my podcast. I always say that, and I'll talk whatever much I want. But for me, anybody that loves Halloween, that's what I want, and that's what I want to see it back. I think that's why people feel like they've lost the spirit, because you don't see it marketed and advertised like we did when we were kids. It's just weird to me that it's lost that edge. Like, Halloween was isn't it a moneymaker for anybody? Like, doesn't people see Halloween as dollar signs for people? Mm-hmm. I mean, but from that perspective, adults, they love going to costume parties. I mean, so does young kids. I mean, you can ask any girl that becomes somewhere between probably 14 to 21 that it's an excuse to get dressed up and look slutty and look hot for guys and themselves to show off the girls. Huh? Oh yeah, and their gram, and TikTok or anything else like now. One thing I'd like to see as a trend, and I really will shut up and we'll end this podcast, is on TikTok, if they show people how to make like cool costumes with makeup and do stuff. I know there's people that they do that. They probably do because I don't get on TikTok, so people are probably gonna be like, yeah, they already do that idiot. So I think that'd be cool. Like I know there's people that are really young, that girls are like really into following girls that like do makeup and show how like they do all this cool stuff with their makeup, and they're like makeup influencers or whatever. Maybe there should be a Halloween influencer that does that, or a makeup influencer shows people how to dress up and like let's make a cool skeleton face or a cool face that's ripped off. Like I think I saw a trend where people like rip their face open and then like underneath their like the stuff there's like blood and bones or whatever else. I think that's cool. So I think that's our podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I can't say ladies and gentlemen in 2023, by the way.
People, thank you, people. All you people.
People of color and people of genders, thank you for listening to our podcast. They, them,
all those people.
All those peoples. Stay spooky and
stay scared, motherfucker.
Exactly.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, thumbs up, and we'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.